Ready? FairTV, are you ready? All right, great, thank you. Let's roll. All right, let's roll. All right, so today is Thursday, February 5th, 7 o'clock. I'll call the Board of Finance meeting to order. And can we rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance? Dave Rock, would you mind leading us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
Okay. Please note, the public is encouraged to send their comments to the Board of Finance before the meeting using a form available on our town website. If anyone is calling in to listen or joining via our Zoom link, you won't be heard by the board members, and there will be no live public comment until called for by the chair during the meeting tonight. Before we get started, I do want to take one point of privilege and extend congratulations to our first selectwoman, Christine Vitale. Congratulations on the election results this week. Look forward to working with you going forward.
Continue to work with this board as well.
All right, we're going to try, we've got a pretty full agenda, so I'm going to try and go through this fairly quickly. First item on our agenda, or next item on the agenda, is the Dwight School Building Committee update. At a previous meeting, this board had expressed an interest to get periodic updates from the board. So we made a communication. Our presenters tonight are the Dwight School Building Chair, Lauren Efron, and with her is Chuck Warrington from Clubs, who is the owner's rep on the project. The backup for this item can be found online by clicking the More link on the Board of Finance section of the agendas and minutes page on the town website, and the backup starts on page 1. So Lauren and Chuck, thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate you making some time.
Of course, thank you for having us.
And we recognize your project's relatively at an early stage, but we're really just hoping to kind of set the table, and then we'll have some regular updates as your project progresses. So you have the floor.
First of all, thank you so much. Because of this board's approval back in October, we were obviously able to move to the next step. We have been meeting as a building committee for the last 4.5 months, approximately at least a dozen times or more on a weekly basis. We've got a couple of weeks off for the holidays. We've made some really great progress. Obviously, we brought Colliers on board as our project management oversight, or also known as owner's rep. And we are to the stage right now where we are selecting a short list of architects and engineer firms. As you all know, there was a feasibility study that was done by the town, but that does not necessarily mean that that is the firm that we are going with. So then the RQ is out. And once we make a short list, which should be Tuesday, probably about 3, possibly 4, we'll bring them in for interviews.
Great.
We're going to hand it over to Chuck.
Great. Good evening. My name is Chuck Warrington. I'm the Director of Project Management and Project Leaders. We want to thank the town for bringing us back on board again. I've been working with the town since 2014. Where I started in Riverfield Elementary School. With that committee, Tom Quinn, we did Holland Hill, Mill Hill, with Craig on the Smith Richardson Golf Course, Pavilion. So quite a few. So we appreciate the town allowing us to stay on this journey with the district. So it's exciting to see a brand new school go up. I know Fairfield, you've been so fiscally responsible with your school improvements, probably the lowest cost per square foot. I commend you on that. Most districts would just want to build, just want to build new or renovate all the time. You guys have done it very strategically, so commend you on that. We have a brief presentation, just as Lawrence said, a brief update, kind of a little bit overview of the project to refresh everybody, kind of what we've done. I think Lawrence pretty much caught us up to speed. We're going to kind of go.
Steal your.
That's okay. No, you're the chair. I'm here to support you. Great, anytime. Kind of go over some numbers here on the overview. Talk about the schedule. I know there's been some questions on what was posted in our RFP versus what we showed. I want to walk through that a little bit to explain why there's a longer schedule. And I think you'll agree, hopefully agree with what I feel about that. So again, the school's already been funded. It's been approved. It's going to be approximately 85,000 square feet. K-5 school with the early childhood school attached to it, ages 3 to 5. A little over $76 million. That's total project budget. Our construction budget's actually going to be around $60 million. That it's important to set that construction budget. So when the architect's on board, they know what they have to design to. Also the construction manager. We also set FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. And they're going to be contractually obligated to design to that. We're going to talk about how we test that to make sure we stay on budget. And I've been around for a while. I know there's been some challenges in some projects that historically was, I'll say, some frustrations with cost overruns. We're on the HVAC job. We didn't develop that budget. We understand that, that's obviously a frustration coming back and being short-sighted as much as that budget was. We didn't establish this one, but we've looked at the budget based on what we know and historically with other schools. And we've done probably 7 or 8 elementary schools in the last 10 years. We did 4 brand new ones in South Windsor. We just completed one last year in Madison, Neck River, K-5. So similar, so almost like same exact size. Sites are always different. So, we're comparing it to that. We recently just got bids on an early childhood school in Waterford for Learn. Those bids actually came in very aggressive. We came in under 13 million under the estimate, which is very surprising. I think it might flip. So we're going to monitor that. It'd be nice to see the trend, but we had a lot of bids, a lot of contractors are hungry to get work. So that was very good for them. Their budget's 96 million, but it's 60 million GMP. It's pretty similar. So currently your reimbursement rate for new is 17.08%. There's the additional 15% for the early childhood care legislation that was passed in 24. It was updated in 25 to apply to the entire project. Previously, it was just for the portion of early childhood care that it applied to. So that's excellent for your project. Currently, for standards, right now, if you take, there's what they call space standard calculation that the Office of Grants Administration looks at and applies to projects. And what that is it's based upon the 8-year high enrollment. And they look at that square footage. They include 1% for HVAC. And they basically will take what that value is and divide it by what the actual comparable building area inside space of walls. And they'll look at that ratio. Currently, that ratio is about 60%. That 0.6 would be applied to your reimbursement rate of 17%. Actually, I think let me back up. 15 because the 15 applies to it all. It would apply to that. And that would reduce it to about 19.45. So that's a significant impact. You're talking over, 10, 12% applied to probably $70 million effective. There's ineligible costs in every project. So that's a pretty good change. You're talking potentially $7 million. We're sharing that now just as it currently states. I understand the Board of Ed is speaking with your local legislators to apply for a much higher reimbursement rate. I think it's 75% from what I understand. That's in process. The legislative session is going in currently. So I understand they're going to submit that with the next bill if that passes. And we also have to talk about a space standard waiver too. 75% and without the space standard waiver, that'll get reduced. So we'll have to talk about that as well. So everything is, you keep your reimbursement. I'm gonna pause there. Any questions on that at all? Kind of going through a lot quickly. So we just want to make sure we're reporting to you what is accurate and known at this point. Currently, based upon the current reimbursement and the reduction rate, we estimate the district share to be approximately 62.3 million. That assumes 5% ineligible costs. We typically see 3 to 7 for new schools. I just close out two of the ones in South Windsor, and they're just under 5 and above 5. So we think that's a fairly reasonable estimate. And then the state share will be about 14 million. Get that legislation, obviously these numbers are gonna change dramatically in favor of town. So again, our job is to maximize your reimbursement in every way we can. So we'll be working towards that. Activities today, we're kind of going through that. OPM selection, again, thank you for bringing us on board. As she noted, we published a request for qualifications. We're doing a two-step process. Qualifications, we had 11 or 12 packages in from all the most qualified firms. Yeah, in the state. So it's a very attractive project. New is always attractive. Fairfield's attractive. Everybody wants to come work here. You're right at that limit before we start getting farther deeper into Fairfield County where access gets a little bit tougher. We're managing a job in Stanford at the West Hill High School. That's going to be just access to it's a little bit tough, but you're kind of before the Norwalk line, so that's good. But very attractive, highly qualified firms, all very knowledgeable in school construction. We've worked with them all, so no matter what, you're going to have an excellent firm to work for that. Again, we're looking at the short list on the 10th. So this, and I apologize if it's a little bit small here. This is the schedule as per the RFP when you see it. I'm going to go up on the screen, maybe if that's okay. We can just point out a little bit. Really, the key difference here, and in the blue here, we have architect selection. This would have had the architect selection back in late 25, and it was calling for the design to start literally right now. In order to do that, you'd have to back everything up, bring us on board, get the architect on board. That's about 2.5 months to get the architect on board. They called for 9 months. Now, I'm not sure where the 9 months came from. I'm not aware of that. I'm not sure. I know the previous architect, I think Spiegel's FG right now, may have recommended. I'm not really sure. They might have, with the assumption if they're kept on board, they kind of have a head start. So that might have came into play. I'm kind of speculating on that one. But to start from scratch, which we're still going to do, we have concepts. You saw that in the background. That's a proof of study concept to say, can we fit it on the site? We typically will do that prior to funding authorization. 9 months is very quick to do this. It takes at least 17 months, depending on the site, depending on parameters of the school. We have to put in we're gonna have to put in a new septic system here, so has to go through that permitting process. And so the solid bars here, this is schematic design. There's 3 major phases. If anybody's going through it, there's schematic design, it's like 25 to 30%. DD's the next phase, about 60-65%, and then construction documents is the last, basically 90-95% to get to bid. Each of those typically take 3 to 4 months to get through. Think about the beginning, they're going to give it floor plans, we're going to test different locations to put this building where it should ideally go on the site, where the existing schools, of course, but we want to test those, vet out mechanical systems. So with a 9-month schedule, we'd only have about a month and a half. That's just not enough time to do that, to verify the program. And you see these wall bars are very, very short. In between schematic design and DD, this is the important part. This is what kind of lengthens it besides just the design aspect. Our recommendation is to stop with the documents. The architect's going to have a professional cost estimator on board. We expect to go out for a construction manager. They're going to do professional cost estimate as well. And what we do is we do both estimates. It takes about 3 weeks to put these together. We bring them back, we put them in a spreadsheet, we compare them side by side. About a week later, we sit in a room for about a full day. We go through all the details. We're looking at the quality of the documents, quantities, assumptions, especially early, not a lot of definition. We want to make sure we're comparing apples to apples between the 2 estimators. And then out of that meeting, we come out of it with revised estimates and we go, where do we compare to them? We do that a second time after DD and at CD. This is what budget management is during pre-construction. It's super vital. I remember we were doing the Holland Hill. I think it was after SD. Both estimators were right at 18 million within a couple 100,000. And CM was like, well, why do we need to reconcile? Hoffman's like, we're reconciling. We cut just on scope and clarifications, about $1.5 million out of those estimates. And I always tell that story because it's just, even though they might look close, let's get into the details and get into the weeds and make sure we're comparing apples to apples and that they're seeing it the way the architect is for that. So this is really the compressed value. The construction timelines are pretty good. Bid timelines were all good. So basically, this was really the concern. Can you go to the next page, Lauren? Just do the page. There we go. Okay. So I've got the old schedule in gray here. Hopefully you can see that just to kind of shadow it for comparison. With the owner's rep, our selection here, we're now in, we're right here in February. And as you can see, this being the start of construction, start of design, we're looking really at April versus February. So we've lost a couple months there for it. But these bars, you can see the SD, we're looking at about 3.5 months. That estimating and also design review. We're going to do a design review. We want to make sure it's constructible. That takes about 6 weeks all in all, 3 for just the base estimate to get to a reconciliation. We got to study it. We got to kind of switch them up and compare them. And then we might do some value management and then meet with the building committee. They're gonna have to make some decisions if we're over budget and figure out which direction we go. We don't have to be under budget. We have to be reasonably close to move forward to the next stage responsibly and be able to hit that target. If it's over by 2 or 3 million, we're not gonna sweat that. We don't want to let perfection get in the way of progress. We want to keep moving forward. That DD, that takes a little bit longer. That's where they're really developing the design, make any changes on the floor plan, develop mechanical systems. That second estimate, that's really vital. That's where we make all the major decisions that they need to be made, because if we get to here and we were to if we went 9 months and went to the end, we're probably gonna be over budget, and then we're gonna have to do a lot of stuff, and then the architect's probably gonna add servicing for it. We don't want to do that. We want to check the budget as we go, do another estimate. There has to be a code review by the building official. OGA requires us to do a code review, typically a third party, as we're doing that. And then we have to go to OGA to request permission to bid. If we don't get permission to bid, it'll be ineligible. So very key. So we're going to shrink this up. We're going to try to get this down to 14, 15 months. We're going to ask the architects, hey, what do they reasonably think we can do it? Keeping responsible budget management throughout the process. So if we can shrink it up a little bit, that's great. We'll just pull it back, a whole year. Again, I've done a lot of these. I just don't see that happening responsibly for that. So this is where the expansion occurred, really right here. The construction's still good. These things maybe take 16, 17 months. Again, we've done quite a few of these, so we've been through this cycle before. Then we want to get to permitting. It's about 3 months for the trades. This is all your FF&E, but basically we're looking for occupancy in 29. Again, to pull this back here, you'd have to shortcut a lot of steps that if we do, I think we'll be in trouble come bid day.
Somebody on board? I want to know how this happened.
What happened?
How we are now going to be a year out from what we were sold when we agreed to pay this money.
Was it 28 when we agreed?
Yeah. When we voted on this, we
No, I think the
voted
issue,
on it being done a year earlier.
I don't think so, because I think the problem was that when we voted on it, remember that we had to hit that deadline. That was the whole thing. We had this gun to our head with the reimbursement,
No, they know the gun was to our head, yeah.
but that was never gonna be, I don't remember 28, Jim.
Why does he have 28 in there?
Because they're definitely.
Star there, who put that
This
star?
here is-
No, this is the first one.
Oh, this one here, the gray? Oh, this is what the original schedule was telling us in the RFP. That previous slide, I just wanted to show a comparison of what the RFP was.
So when we put this request for proposals out, we were saying it was supposed to be done a year earlier.
So
Well, that's exactly the year I want to know about.
I know.
It was from the Svagals report. That's where we got the schedule.
Yep.
from the-
I want to know, I'd like to have some Vagals or whoever knows the reasoning why that date was chosen versus the new date. We lost an entire year when we were discussing. Just let me just finish talking. I want to know what happened to this year. Why were we sold a false date by Vagals? And now we're a year out from what this gentleman is now telling us now that he's involved. We're a whole year missing by a whole year. It's a huge amount of time,
I am not,
a huge amount of time.
If I could respond.
I'm not debating. I think that we hired a different architect who presented, who spent time with the committee, presented to this board, explained their timeline. The committee went with Colliers, who's presenting a different timeline. There's two different timelines right now, and I'll let the chairperson speak to how we got to this point. But in terms of the original timeline, I think that we all know who presented that timeline because we got the report and they came and explained their rationale and the timeline has changed. So I don't say sold. I think that there's just more information and the direction that the building committee is going.
Well, when this body voted on it, we were sold a bill of goods, right? We were told when it was going to open.
With all due respect, I think an extra year certainly is a concern, especially if there's an extra cost associated with it. So
Yeah.
is our budgeted amount in jeopardy by pushing out construction start by 11 months or?
Now with the data that we have, so we had a recent bid of how we based our analysis backing into your budget. Again, we bid a job, it was the Madison Neck River School, very, very similar school. 2 years ago, basically last month. The building cost, which your building costs about 65% of the total project budget. We analyze the cost just for the building, not the site. I'll talk about that. That came in about $408 per square foot, including prorated CM for that. We escalated that 4.5% compounded to right now. That's our base. And now we've escalated out to midpoint of construction at 4.5% to the construction. And it's showing that we're showing from what we have, I'll say comfortably. I'm gonna say you have a fat budget, but you're not super tight unless there's something that we're
Not gonna have to
See.
go a wing or something.
Right now, we feel you have a valid budget to move this forward.
So do you think the previous architect who was in here overbid the job of what we were sold to
think they had
in
a-
order to, let me finish my question. In order to sell us a number at the time, because that's what we voted on. And every time we have people and professionals come before us, like you, what we're told is, you wait another year, it's costing you more in inflationary amounts for not only the construction costs and the fees that are being charged there, sometimes dramatically. Same thing with the cost of every component that goes in on this building supplies, and mechanicals and everything. And a year to me, that's gotta come with this. What number are we building in that we had in here? 7 to 8% contingency on a yearly basis? If we had some number in here when we talked about it, about the timing and that things would cost more. And unless you're telling me like the world's completely changed and prices are going down, are you saying that?
No, I'm telling you based upon actual bids. Again, the school is about as comparable and it's close in scope, quality of materials that I haven't worked in Fairfield since 2014. Took you to probably say, yep, this is the kind of building we want, the quality we want. Again, that bid for the building was 408. We escalated it compounded. It's roughly 447. I think we used 450 a square foot for the building. We're using 30%. We typically see 18 to 22% of the site costs compared to the building. We're using 30% on this one. 30%. We upped it because of topography, the septic system. We wanted to go a little bit more robust. And again, we've escalated it from now to the midpoint of construction. Your FF&E costs, your architect fees. We know they're going to be around 5.5%. All the rest of the fees and expenses, we know what those are. We have great historical data on it. And again, as I mentioned, we just bid a early childhood school. It's a single story, infant to grade 2, but building is still steel, windows, roof. And that came in at $60 million right now. Pretty aggressive, but the data that we have, and historical data, we're comfortable moving forward.
There's also the
Can I
reimbursement.
just respond as well, Mr. Walsh?
Sure.
I am right where you were, like 2 months ago, when we first brought them on board and when we started to talk about this. It was a hard pill for me to swallow, so I understand your hesitation. I don't want to throw Spagals under the bus. I think they're a very reputable firm. I think they had a really aggressive timeline that they were initially looking at, assuming that perhaps, right away, a building committee would just pick up and run with this. As it was, and again, we've been meeting on a weekly basis. I think if we had tried to rush through, hire an architect within a month or, a month and a half, like Chuck said, would have been making a hasty decision. I didn't want to just go ahead. Just because Spagals was the one that did the feasibility study doesn't mean that we shouldn't open it up. And legally, we are supposed to allow other firms to come and bid on this project. I'm going with what the professional is saying, and I have questioned it and I have looked at it over and over again. I understand that 9 months would have eventually resulted in massive change orders. Lots of us coming back to you and saying, okay, it turns out that actually we're gonna need another 2, 3, 4. Go on up, right? If we had not taken the time to make sure that all the decisions in the design phase were absolutely correct to begin with. And I do not want to go over budget. I have said this time and time again. I am going to be as fiscally responsible with this budget as absolutely possible. It's my money too. I am a homeowner and a taxpayer, and I have fought for this project. I don't want to disappoint anybody. If anything, I would love to come in under, but I've been warned not to promise.
Mr. Bentley.
Oh, no. So I mean, I just think thank you for correcting me because I didn't catch that. That's super important. But also, as long as the costs are not changing, I think that's the practical thing. The other thing is that also we do have this big reimbursement that if we had delayed and kicked it on, I don't think we necessarily could guarantee on that. So we seem to still be sort of from a dollar basis in an okay place. Like, does anyone not think that? Do you not think that?
That's what we're hearing.
Your total project budget, regardless of reimbursement, that's still your total the 76.4 is still your budget. Reimbursement's important, but when we look at it, it's total project, but that's all you have.
Okay, and on behalf of Colliers, you think we can bring it in on budget, the budget that the money, the funds that we approved when it went through the town bodies?
I do.
Okay, so that raises another question, which is, it's another year out, things are getting more expensive. So clearly Spagals overestimated the cost of this project being done. Not only did they estimate that it would take an extra year, but they overestimated the cost because, as we already established, there are inflationary costs both on labor and both on materials. So if you're able to bring it in a year later, God bless you, but it's just disappointing on a number of levels with Spagals' presentation that was being made to us. And I think that should go into the Board of Education's thought processes on using them again.
I don't know what the basis of their estimate was. I haven't seen that detail to opine on that. They might have used higher cost per square foot, depends on what the quality they're looking at. Hard to opine, but I'm just using a comparable. We know you're probably going to.
Fair enough.
I would ask just as part of this to look at the Spagals, the data points and their assumptions for their schedule,
Look at that.
their schedule as well. And
Back.
if there was months of, this wasn't something, feasibility study wasn't pulled together quickly. The first select time, superintendent, director of operations for the school district all participated in that process. And by the support of other town boards to take that approach in getting the pricing.
And the other thing that jumps out to me is, practically speaking, this project needs to be completed, in concert with a school year cycle. So the original timeline had it completed in the middle of 2028 for population in the fall, 28. Now we're a year beyond that. If you finished 6 months earlier, it wouldn't really help much, right? So to try and push it to get it done quickly, other than possibly avoiding inflation, I get that, but it's now going to be super critical that you not slip past this timeline. So, yeah, Mr. Walsh.
With this new timeline, when are we going to be getting a new waterfall? Because this completely now throws the waterfall completely out of whack.
You have the capital plan summary on the agenda for tonight. So
Is that going to be part of the plan? Are we now showing this new date and adjustments are being made to the waterfall on this new date? Obviously, funding dates are completely changing. Now we're going into even completing during the next fiscal year. So we can only do so much in a given year. So is that part of tonight's presentation?
I can't speak to whether that specific timeline was adjusted.
This is not, being that we haven't even gotten an architect yet, as more information comes, the waterfall will be adjusted. I'm not going to get ahead of the capital projects. Mr. Gonzalez here and he can report out, but the Board of Selectmen just approved having Colliers come on board recently, and we have not made adjustments to the waterfall this time. That especially since the total amount of the budget has not changed.
Okay, well, we're gonna need to see that. I'd like to see it at the quarterly meeting.
That's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, what's the problem with adjusting it?
I think the staff is probably busy working on the operating budget.
Okay.
To revise the capital budget, which we look at in detail in September. I think it's unrealistic to ask for it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, after the budget season.
We can revisit it before September, and I think we can revisit it in April or May.
Okay, I'd like to see not only the adjustments that this makes, but every single change it is will have then on the waterfall. Specifically noted. And thank you for your presentation on this new lower reimbursement rate, correct? You just reviewed
Yeah, as it stands right now.
without new legislation.
Without any legislation or waivers of the space standard, that's what we estimated to be.
And what are the likelihood steps of that being passed?
If you're, any notwithstanding that we've seen submitted by representatives, legislators, we're almost always going through.
Okay, and if it
really
doesn't,
political.
what I don't see here is how much is that gonna cost us in reimbursement dollars based on the current budget?
Just the, just the space standard reduction?
Yeah, like I see it says estimated state share, $14.1 million. That's under it, without special legislation passing and.
That just as is, right?
Well, do you know what it was when we?
I'd have to do some rough numbers and calculate it, but if it was 32%, it's up to 6. Numbers. I haven't calculated it without that. I could probably tell you, if you give me a minute, I could pull up the spreadsheet and do it quickly to tell you if we add space standard waiver.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, we approved a certain number of dollars. The night we approved it, they were telling us that under state reimbursement, as they knew it, we were gonna be getting X number of dollars in the state share. Okay?
Do you recall what that was?
No, that's what I'm asking.
Oh, okay.
You know that.
He wasn't-
Okay, so your,
Actually,
He wasn't-
does your committee know that?
I think
But what you received,
Not off the
you
top
know
of my
what
head.
that was.
No, I don't.
I have that slide right here, actually.
do?
From the Spiegel's report, that's the one we looked at. So
Okay.
this is from the report. And I hope I'm interpreting, they're saying base reimbursement.
We're 1F.
Yep, this one here, I think, estimated municipal costs, 60.7 million is what they have in their chart.
It's costing us close to $2 million. So to say estimated, state reimbursement amount?
What?
Can I just point out at the top of that column, minimum estimate? Municipal cost, minimum. That's what they did there. Right, so I feel like that just needs to be highlighted because it was maybe a little bit of rosy colored glasses. I'm not trying to throw them under the bus, but right, they were going for the lowest number that they presented to you.
Yeah, it's a question of whether they assumed any ineligible costs. Which I've seen many budgets be sold that way, that they don't account for. There's always ineligible costs. I don't care if it's a new project or not. Anything outside the property line is ineligible. It's change orders. And I don't know what I don't have the details as if they looked at the space station. I think they might have based upon some high level numbers, but unless I see them, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, that firm, they've done quite a few schools, so I would hope they would understand that how the numbers work, but we've seen some that they haven't. So again, I'm just looking high level here.
So it's looking like it's gonna cost the taxpayers without any new legislation about $2 million more. Roughly. On an extremely expensive project already. So great. Unbelievable.
Well, yeah.
I think that we should not discount that legislation. We've been speaking with our state delegation, Representative Leeper, Chair of the Education Committee, who provided guidance to the school district when doing the pricing. Was up at the Capitol yesterday for opening session, spoke to Department of Administrative Services, just to get it on their radar that this is a priority for us. We have a school. They know about it. I know Mr. Poppich.
If we can coordinate it.
I know she was aware, and I did reach out to her
Yeah,
myself
so
today.
maybe she can give us likelihood of success based on what she's seeing in the State House. She's a fairly high-ranking member. She should know the process and the likelihoods of success or not.
Many districts have been passing similar legislation throughout the state. I just pulled up this rough cut with that space standard calculation that we talked about. If you didn't have a reduction to that 0.6, your estimated share would be about $53 million and the state share would be 23. So roughly $9 million, just round numbers. That's just off the space standard. So when they put in that legislation, it's important that they have another piece that has the space standard waiver. That is significant.
Okay.
In that. So when they do that, if you can remind them to include that, that's very powerful language.
Well, maybe before they prepare the legislation, they can speak to you.
Look at Ansonia just put it in.
We'd love to have her.
97 space standard.
We'd love to have her at our meeting too. So maybe we can all get together.
Yeah, more than happy to.
Any other questions from the board? So just looking at this project timeline, thank you both for coming in. Obviously, early stage, a lot of moving parts. Just starting to settle a little bit. You're getting into your groove. What's a reasonable time, looking at this timeline, for you to come back to this board with a meaningful update? I don't want to have you guys back. Well, it's
I
nothing.
mean, you mentioned early, have to do that and you can touch work around, I guess, your schedule, but I think once we get the architect on board, and we really start, digging into numbers and making, I don't want to adjust a timeline again, but I do want to review it with them and see where they're comfortable at. So we're in February now, possibly September.
Yeah, by the time we get through the schematic design, get through that and do that estimating process that I explained for our timeline, end of August, early September is what this is targeting. That might move forward a little bit maybe, but in that general timeframe, end of summer, early fall.
In our meeting schedule has us off in August, so first week in September would be great.
Yeah, we'll be finalizing that process most likely. And that'll be just the first step. The next step would probably be about a year from now when we're finishing PED, believe it or not, maybe early 2027. And that's really the crucial one, is the design development phase.
I would just say if it's obvious, if there's any issues that come up in the next 7 or 8 months that you feel a need to talk to us about, just
Well, I appreciate
let the
that.
first select person know and our chair. And we don't want to be
She was the
surprised
first
next
person
September.
She was the first person I went to when I was aware of the new timeline. So we'd like to make sure that everybody is comfortable and in the fold. Obviously, we're just bringing it to you now, but I wanted to be sure that I fully understood it before you. So thank you again for welcoming us today and allowing us to kind of walk you through it.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you. Good luck.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, next item on the agenda is to hear from our town librarian. Scott, I get this wrong every time. Yes, thank you for joining us. The full reading is available on the agenda, but this item on the agenda is to discuss. I'll just read the first paragraph. Whereas the Library Board of Trustees wishes to donate the sum of $135,000 to the town of Fairfield to fund the cost of a feasibility study for the Fairfield Woods Library to evaluate potential future upgrades to the building. Whereas, so on and so forth. So, yes, Scott, welcome.
Good evening, members of the Finance Board. I'm pleased to share that the trustees of the Fairfield Public Library have allocated funding for a feasibility study of the Fairfield Woods Library. This is a significant step forward for the facility that has not undergone major renovation since 1990. That was 36 years ago. 2025, the Fairfield Woods Library saw an 8% increase in visits, totaling over 125,000 people, with a 10% increase in program participation, attendance exceeding 20,000. These numbers are not only impressive, but also reflect the majority of the library's metrics because they've now surpassed pre-COVID levels. During peak hours, the library is literally bursting at the seams, underscoring the urgent need to assess how we can better serve our community. This feasibility study will explore options to enhance organizational capacity, improve patron experience, bring the building into compliance, and ensure that we continue to provide high-quality library service our community expects and deserves. It's important to note that this funding will entirely come from the trustees, the library's governing board, whose responsibilities are outlined in the town charter. This funding is not from the Friends of the Library, which is a separate 501c3 organization whose mission is to support programming. Additionally, no tax dollars will be used to underwrite this study. I'd like to take a moment just to thank Eli and Joe and crew at Town Hall for their invaluable assistance in moving this initiative forward, and I'm looking forward to working with them in the future. In closing, this feasibility study represents an exciting opportunity to reimagine the Fairfield Woods Library and ensure that it continues to meet the evolving needs of our community. And thank you.
I think that, and for the public, the backup is available online. First page of the backup package. Tremendous amount of information provided, I think about 55 or so pages. We don't need to go through all of that, but I'll just open it up to the board for questions. Yeah.
So basically, this, a summary is basically yes, we have to vote, allow the trustees to use this money. And it's just a feasibility study. Not spending any taxpayer at this juncture. When would you expect to have this feasibility study completed?
Probably within 6 months to a year.
Months to a year. And there's nothing on our, and I know I'm jumping ahead, but I'm gonna ask the question anyway. This is more. There's nothing on our waterfall charts with respect to the woods. No, that's right. There's nothing. I understand what you're trying to do. Thank you.
Yeah, we're Jerry.
Thank you. How much money does the library board of trustees have available? If they're gonna donate 135, what is their total funds?
So right now we're at about 10 million.
10 million? And that 10 million, is any of those funds allocated?
Yes, so the trustees set a budget every year to do, they've underwritten a ton of furniture because furniture needs to be replaced on a regular basis. All of our strategic plans have actually been paid for by the trustees, so the town has not spent money on that. And then they'll put some money towards programming and some money towards staff training as well.
So of the 10 million, how much has been already accounted for? Like that's already planned to be spent? Was it updated
We're not there.
annually?
We're not there yet. It's updated annually. That's why what we've asked the architects is really 3 plans. Provide us with kind of what would the cost and it look like to redo the carpets and the shelving and redo the painting. Then the next one would
Like a
be
facelift.
Yeah, a facelift. The next one would be a gut reno. And then a third one would be a new building. And then the trustees can sit down and go, okay, this is what we have within our funding. They don't want to spend all of their money, understandably, because the library relies on some of that funding to move forward. But we would have to then sit down and say, okay, how much can be allocated from that funding into a construction budget?
So the thought process is you're gonna do the feasibility study, consider many different options. And then the trustees can, instead of the town paying for, can, target a certain amount of money towards whatever choice you're gonna make?
So a significant portion of the funding will come from the trustees. However, at this point, we are committed to exploring all available options for additional support, including town resources, fundraising, and grants. And there is a construction grant provided by the state. So, I don't want to say, yes, the trustees are going to pay for everything. I speak for them. But past projects, the trustees have paid for the majority of construction.
And the Friends of the Library, you said they're really paying for, their money's going towards materials and,
Well, some material, if they have money that's donated to them that's specified for material, they primarily pay for programming. They match our programming budget dollar for dollar. We really couldn't do what we do without the Friends of the Library.
I love the library. Thank you.
Mr. Myers.
Can I ask, the last time the renovation was done to the downtown library, how much of that was town paid versus trustee paid?
So I was not here for that, but I believe the majority of it was paid for by the trustees. The trustees, there was a bond that was done by the town, and the trustees slowly over time paid down that.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Wall?
Do you think we'll get prices for each of these options?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's, the hope, because we can't plan moving forward.
That's in the scope of services that the 135,000 piece.
Yes, we are very clear that was in this.
Good. And are we gonna be getting, like, this board gonna be getting that feasibility study in full?
And we want to share with you as we move this along. And, this is not going to be a vanity project. Sometimes libraries can be that. I've been a part of projects where there are cost overruns because architects love to design beautiful libraries. You all know me well enough by now. I'm a little bit no nonsense. Really what we want to do is we don't want to impact the town budget with this. I don't want to see the need for more staffing or additional funding to keep the building operating. What I'd like to do is work within the shell to make it work better, make it operate better, and increase capacity without really increasing cost of operation.
And when I was reading the TSKP studio write-up that they did, that stated November 14th, which is after you tested not three, just one line. Something I know you're a library expert, so I want to. Does libraries anchor the civic identity? That's special to New England? They don't?
No,
if you're out in
absolutely not.
Arizona- If you're out in Arizona, they don't really
Absolutely
respect
not.
libraries or
As
anything
someone
like
who,
that?
as someone who came here from New York, whenever I would do the budget,
Yeah.
whenever I would do the budget speech, in every town, libraries are the anchor store. They're the Macy's of, the town square. So I'm not sure what, I will say New England has some gorgeous libraries. So maybe that's what they're trying to say, but no, that's pretty much the case everywhere you travel.
It just stuck out to me, like maybe I'm
think
not
it's
paying
sales pitch.
attention to St. Louis libraries and they are awful.
No, St. Louis has some gorgeous libraries.
I have no idea. Okay, thank you.
Any questions? I do have one. Mr. Mottola pointed out that we don't have this project on our capital or capital waterfall or anything allocated for it. It's great to hear that the trustees will pick up the majority and other potential sources are going to be researched. You mentioned that the town resources might be tapped. Absent funding, what town resources would
The grants manager, the, staff in purchasing, the capital project,
project?
that's,
Project.
those would all be what I'm really looking for in terms of resources. We would like to explore bonding because that seems to have worked in these projects. And again, the trustees don't want to spend all their money. We do rely on the money that those investments make for operation without it costing the town. I think the trustees are always a little nervous about how much money that we have. However, if you're running, an organization, it is good to have money that is making money. Money makes money. So, and that's what I keep saying to my board when they're like, we have to spend this down. So, I think like I said, the majority of the project will be paid by the trustee.
But absent the funding, for all intents and purposes, it would be just like any other town project, right? In terms of resources.
We do not want to do this on our own. And we really, like Eli, working with Eli and his group, And I'm excited to have, when we first discussed this, I was like, oh God, we have to hire a project manager because there's no way I'm doing this. I don't have the expertise there. And I knew that that would run up the cost of the project. So the fact that the town now has this structured within the organization is really exciting for us, I think for most department heads.
Not seeing any other questions. Yeah, this is a voting item. This is an item that was approved at the last Board of Selectmen meeting and does from the Board of Finance and the RTM. So I'll make a motion to approve. And a second from Ms. Ruggiero. Eventually. Okay. Any public comment before we take the vote? Nobody online, not seeing any. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. It's unanimous. Great. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is a presentation on the town's capital projects. To hear and discuss the capital plan overview. Here with us tonight is Eli from the Capital Projects Operations Group. Backup for this item starts on page 55, online packet. And Eli, the floor is yours.
Very much. Good evening. Just wanted to give the board a update on the capital plan. Historically, we've always compared it to capital plan that we presented at the summit back in September. So a couple slides will speak to the major changes on the plan. It's the last time that we presented it.
Yeah, I'll just speak briefly to the plan that we discussed in September to give some context to the projects that are on the agenda for approval. The plan in September had projects totaling 492.5 million. We have made some changes to that plan, which Eli will discuss. But each of the items on the agenda tonight are included or is included in that plan. There is approximately 28% of the total funding requirements are applicable to the town and WPCA, with the balance being applicable to the Board of Education. With respect to the portion that's applicable to WPCA, it's split between the town and WPCA based on the funding agreement. So about 30% of the total cost applicable to WPCA will be funded by the town. So since that plan was completed and presented to you, we have made some changes, which Eli will discuss. And those changes total about $10 million.
Thanks, Tom. So on the screen here is just a chart, just comparing the total spending from Capital Summit back in September to what we currently are looking at today. On the town side, you will see the biggest increase. We'll get a little bit more into the details on next couple slides there. The Board of Ed increased a little bit just to be able to match some reports that we've received. WPCA slightly, but overall, as Tom said, we are showing about a $10 million increase in our last September presentation. Major changes to the plan on the town side, third slide in the backup. I broke them down into three categories. There's new projects that you guys have never seen before. Then there are projects that have increased in pricing. And then there are also some deducts. Starting with the new projects, South Benson Marina underground storage tanks. Speaking with Parks and Rec and DPW, those storage tanks are nearing their end of life. And so we want to add it to the plan to be able to get those replaced. There's been conversations about renovating the Penfield exterior bathrooms. So we added that to the plan for $1 million. And then we have two
design projects from the engineering department. One totaling 390,000, that's Pequot, Post Road and Bronson Road neighborhood improvements. And then we have the Stratfield School connectivity project for 450,000. And that is just designed for these projects.
If I can just interject, for these projects that we haven't seen, and we're just talking kind of a snapshot here, but to Mr. Walsh's point, timing is important, right? So when do we expect that these projects actually may come before us for approval of the funding and when the projects might actually start?
Yeah, so none of the new projects are in front of you guys tonight. Obviously, we want to respect that. We want to plan out accordingly. So I think the earliest one that we have on there is the, don't quote me on this, but it is in the backup. The capital plan is in the backup. But we try to keep them at least a year out from when you guys are to approve them. I think that's only fair. And again, I would like to say that capital plan is a living and breathing document. It changes almost on a daily. And Sabrina Bernardi's on the call. I drive her crazy moving projects up and moving projects out. And Tom will touch base a little bit about, keeping that 9%, keeping it below 10%, but even with the contingency, keeping it below 9%. So we are moving projects out and moving projects up depending on, the priority of.
Mr. Walsh.
Just as a general, why are we doing this new projects now? Like, why are we going it seems like a new mid-year capital projects thing where we can all of a sudden in the middle of a year, start adding new capital projects where generally we'd have a capital projects meeting. Things would be good for the year. The administration had a chance to put in whatever they wanted to at that point in time. And now all of a sudden, it's 6 months later and we're doing it again. I mean, is it going to be pretty soon you do this every 3 months? I mean, seriously, I don't understand why this can't still be on a yearly basis.
Again, this is just an update to the board. We wanted to make it most up-to-date information, so we added projects. And again, every project that we add increases our percentage of debt. So we wanted to make sure it's the most up-to-date to what we were presenting.
And in fairness, Mr. Walsh, I actually asked the finance team to make sure that they kept this board apprised. I didn't want to wait once a year for just, a lot can change. So to the extent that either dollar amounts changed, timing changed, or projects fell off, projects were more expensive, or new projects came on, I had asked the finance team to make sure that they were keeping this board apprised. And that's really what this update was meant to be, not a full-blown detailed deep dive into a new capital plan, but just kind of a touch point on incremental changes, pluses or minuses. Yes. Ms.
So I think it's great that we're being informed, but my concern is that there are new things here, and I think it leaves me with more questions. And, I don't understand, like, for example, why is Stratfield School's connectivity project on this town plan and not on the Board of Ed's plan?
Oh, no, that is a Lee Streets project. It's a sidewalk project.
Well, I wouldn't know that. So, and then the Penfield Pavilion bathrooms, didn't we just rebuild the thing for like the 4th time?
So during the last renovation, that was the FEMA upgrades. We did not touch the exterior bathrooms. They were never.
Where are they even?
They were on the backside next to the concession stands.
Is it all of the bathrooms or just the exterior?
Just the exterior bathroom.
$1 million for exterior bathroom?
There's
Put in
4 of them.
Gold faucets?
I'd like to get that job.
Yeah, when this comes before us in a year, you better have,
Yeah.
I can't believe it costs that much money.
It's insanity.
And again, I think, guys, we had a meeting at Penfield with DPW, with Parks and Rec. It was brought up. We walked the bathrooms. We wanted to put it on the capital plan. We put a placeholder. I'm not saying it's
Not an approval.
$1 million.
Voting on it.
We're not voting on it. Again, we didn't go out to bid on it. It was just a placeholder based off of what we're seeing.
Seems like a luxurious placeholder here. Just one,
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
My concern is I don't want to hear that we already agreed to anything
No,
or
no.
this has been seen and, you know, you guys saw this, this isn't new. This is definitely new news and we're not getting any information on it.
No, I think everybody on this board agrees with you.
Okay.
The only thing I would say was that, because I get this comment a lot, is that, you know, there's a sense that there's an open to spend as long as we're below a certain percentage and we're not, you know, creeping into the 9.5%, 90. And it's like, you know, I remember when there was, when this was first presented to Mr. Becker, that he said that we haven't gone through the process of actually identifying which of these projects are must-haves versus nice-to-haves. I remember him saying that.
Yeah, I do
And as
too.
far as I'm concerned, nobody's ever done that. Because nothing has ever come off of this list because it would be a nice to have.
Yeah.
So I don't know who is responsible for owning this and who's, because it sounds like you're just sort of like the collector of, what do you want on the list? And it's like, hey, I'll put it on. I'll get my person over here who does it and she drive her nuts. But like, somebody has to be sitting here saying, hey, guys, you know, enough is enough. We're asking our taxpayers to do a lot. And every once in a while, we should say no. And I understand that we were the group that for 10 years said no too many times and kicked the can down the court. So it's a balance.
Balance, totally agree.
It's
But
a
I do,
balance. We all agree about it.
yeah, I do think Eli's more than just the aggregator.
Oh, absolutely.
Requests, right? You know,
I appreciate everything you're doing.
And it's actually, he and his team are managing these projects, right, as well. But did you have a thought or something to share in terms of prioritization of this stuff?
Well, I think part of that is a conversation of all town boards. We have the capital summit every fall prior to any of these projects coming to the boards for approval, to get feedback from the board of selectmen, for the board of finance, from the RTM, and give the public a chance to weigh in as well.
Yeah.
And I think that, and each project comes before the boards for approval as an individual project. It is a discussion that is had multiple times by multiple boards, that if not, doesn't fall certainly on Mr. Gazal. He is responsible, though, if new things are identified within town, that there's a need, and a responsibility to bring it to the administration, and a responsibility for the administration to bring it to other town boards, so you know what's on the horizon, and have an opportunity to weigh in sooner rather than later.
But I do think, you know, with all due respect, I do think Mr. Myers has a good point in that understanding how these projects get prioritized is really important for this board, but also for the public, right? You know, and it's not just everything on the list is going to get funded because it stays under a 9% number, which we have arbitrarily, right? So I think, but spending some time to actually talk about how these projects get prioritized, whether it's, I know that when we were falling behind, some of it was what's shovel ready? What can we actually get going, right? That was some of it. What was, how much bandwidth do we have? How many projects can we actually manage, right? And human resources. You know, others.
I mean, I think health and safety, obviously infrastructure for WPCA, the condition of our roads, if our tide gates are failing, you know, those are, I don't think, nice to haves. Some of the things that got added, those are things that we need to do to protect our town property, protect the property of our residents, and to keep our basic infrastructure sound. And as Mr. Meyer said, very often, if you put things off, it ends up just costing more money in maintenance and repairs, exposing the town to more risk, and ultimately the project gets done at a higher price point.
Yeah.
You know, we can argue about some of these other, you know, some of the things that we like about, you know, recreation would be nice to have, upgrades to playgrounds, upgrades to the golf course, upgrades to the beaches. Do we need, you know, bathrooms at the beach? That could be a discussion that we can have now, we can have in September, and we can have when those projects, if they move forward, come before the town body.
Yeah, and again, we're gonna vote on a few capital projects tonight, but none of these. And I think it's, when you come back with these projects or any projects for approval, I think one of the things we'd want to know is, why is this a priority now? Especially if it changes from the schedule that was put forth, you know, in September.
Mr. Walsh.
Yeah, and we're not having department heads or anybody present these matters. Like, these are all new pie in the sky things. You're just bringing them up, Eli, and you're putting them on a form. So I don't want to hear anybody say, just because, well, it's been on the waterfall for 6 months or a year or 2 years. I don't want to hear that line, because that line comes before this board all the time, and we haven't had a chance to vet it. We didn't put it on here. We didn't approve for it to be on here. Like, we're just putting it on, right? So right now, $1 million worth of bathrooms for Penfield's gonna be put on this list. We haven't heard jack about this. I mean, we just haven't.
But with respect, Mr. Walsh, again, I had a conversation with the team about putting this in front of this board for information purposes.
Yeah.
Really, my biggest concern was we did have capital projects on the agenda tonight for approval.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see this first.
Sure.
Because with these things, we're gonna blow through a number and we got to 9.5 or 10 or 10.5% on our coverage ratio. We may not want to approve tonight's projects. So I think this is kind of, placeholder data, but even with this stuff, we have some comfort that it's not going to adversely affect the projects that are on our agenda for approval tonight. So I don't want anyone on this board to think that the administration is putting projects on to try and hoodwink us into approving them later because they were on a sheet. That's not what this is about. It's really just so that we have a refreshed look at what our capacity is. Hopefully that gives us comfort to act on the projects like the tide gate and things that are kind of safety or important. No. Yes, Mr. Henley.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I appreciate what everybody's saying. Would be good to get more discussion prior to it comes to us to priorities. But so one thing that I would like to see, and maybe this is something you or Sabrina could help with, but sort of tying out the impact of, additions to the debt capacity. Because these things is not super impactful, right? But I think it's something that we don't necessarily, I don't think we've actually ever seen it like, so what is a dollar amount that starts to push us over? Because it doesn't hit this year that you bought it. It's gonna hit later. Some of it, hits, some interest payments hit the current year. So when you show us the waterfall, it might be worthwhile to sort of tie that out so we can sort of have numbers in our head. To me, what's more important for this board is to focus on, if we have a policy to stay below a certain limit, it's to focus on that. And it's also, at some point, maybe in the future, we'll even focus on a floor of spending. So we're not playing catch up. The prioritizing of projects, I think that needs to come from other bodies more than anything, because I don't think it's what we do. If stuff comes here, I'm assuming it's prioritized ultimately by the first select person. But I've wondered the same thing since I've been on this board. It was like, well, what's the most important?
I want to make sure I understand what you're talking about though. So for the way I interpreted that, in my head, it's, okay, if we ran over in a project by $10 million, or if a new project came out of left field that was absolutely needed, we need to spend 10 million, or, McKinley mold problem, all over again. What does $10 million out of the blue do to our coverage?
Over the next 10 years, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
So right now we're at 8.99 if I scroll forward on the backup, but does that extra 10 put us at 9, or does it put it at 9.04? Or like, I think it would be helpful for this board to know how much headroom we actually have.
Basically what I'm asking for is like if it's possible for you to show some sort of different iterations of stress testing this waterfall, and it can include additional bonding, but it can also include different interest rate assumptions. Year 5, you've got higher rates, or time, yes. But I'm not asking you guys to go and create extra work. If it's something that's sort of you've already looked at, I think it'd be very worthwhile for us to look at. But I'm definitely not saying go out and create a new monster Frankenstein spreadsheet kind of thing.
And I do want to add one thing. My team meets with each individual department on a basis, and we go through the capital plan. And during those months, during those meetings, you know, I asked the department head, all right, do you have any capital needs? And why I asked that is because I'm trying to forecast the town's needs over the next 10 years. And the department heads know that just because it makes it on this plan does not mean that it's authorized and does not mean that it gets approved. Everything on this plan needs to come in front of the three town board to get approved. Yeah, you know, this capital plan is supposed to forecast what the town will need in the next 10 years, and projects will move up, and projects will move out.
We can continue to talk about approach, you know, for Selectwoman Kupchak, she had a capital planning group that had these discussions with representatives from each town board. That didn't really seem to hit the mark for some people. So this type of discussion would have come before Mr. Walsh was on it. You know, we would have these kind of things. The first Selectwoman would come and say, these are some things that were brought up to the department head. What do you think? Should we put it on the waterfall? We would go back and forth. And then ultimately it would appear on the waterfall in September, and that would have. So I think the intent for today was just to be transparent and let you know that it's on our radar. We found out about it and wanted to bring it to you and to the public.
Thank you. Mr. Welch.
Mr. Penley raised a good point, because I think when one of your comments you just made, you said you would hope that you would presume that the first select woman had approved of these projects to be put on. I presume the same thing, but I just want to hear from you, Christine. The only way this is getting on here is if you support these projects, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to know that that's still the case, because that's always been the case. So I just want, you've been here since July, and I just want to make sure that that's still the case. Okay, all right.
As we get closer to, September and what year it is and what the amount ultimately, I mean, it might change. But right now, I support bringing this before this board, and that we should work these projects into the waterfall. You know, obviously, have to keep a close eye on the finances of it and the affordability, and have just difficult discussions on the what's nice to have, what's a need, health and safety, and flooding, streets.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that that's always been the approach, and on the school side as well. I know there's renovations, but roofs, boilers, we're replacing bathrooms now, but those are bathrooms that are 20 years old and leaking, and we're spending money on maintenance and creating a health and safety issue because they're failing.
Just wanted to clarify there, when you say you're supporting those projects, like the $1 million in the bathroom, you're supporting that, or you're saying that you haven't seen the numbers yet, you're supporting the concept? Or
I'm supporting the concept because we haven't taken the deep dive on what those bathrooms are going to look like, what the options are going to be, what the materials are going to be. The number may grow, the number may be lower, depending on what other needs come up. Then as we dive down deeper on costs as we're moving forward, the projects are going to come before us sooner rather than later. Things might change, but we get a lot of just hearing from our residents. The first select person's office gets a lot of just questions, porta potties, like just even people just walking by, taking walks, they need a restroom, they access those restrooms. We have events at Penfield. I think that our residents, it's important to them. So I think that, we need to explore the cost, and obviously as new needs come up, we'll have to prioritize. And right now it's just being brought up for discussion and not for any sort of approval.
I would join in with Mr. Patola. There better be some really good attention, because how 3 building committees miss doing this, the public is now not expecting that. I think the last amount we spent was $12 million. That we need new bathrooms on top of this all it's kind of completely ludicrous that we'd be at this point, to be honest with you. After all the money we spent, reimbursements we got, the whole litany of things. I mean, what have we rebuilt it 3 times? I mean, and here we are, and need
Yes.
fresh new bathrooms.
I know that when, obviously you had to deal with the foundation issues, the fill underneath and lifting it, or everything that we dealt with. They didn't touch these bathrooms, right? And I know that there are a lot of, I was disappointed when I went down there and excited when it opened and then went inside. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I know a lot of people have expressed the same thing. So I don't think this town has a lot of appetite to spend a lot of money on Penfield, especially after how much, to your point, how much we've spent. But I also know that we want a building that works, right? So if the bathrooms are in disrepair, they need to be addressed. I'd be shocked if we could figure out a way to support $1 million for this project.
Yeah, that's.
I appreciate that it's a placeholder, but it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I just clarify my comments. I agree. I've been in those bathrooms too. They look like they need some updating, but my shock was the price. Yeah. I mean, come on.
So trying to bring it back here, because this agenda
houses
can
for
go
$1
on.
million.
But I think just for the bathroom, because I asked the questions also when we funded the Penfield renovation that was specific to addressing the NOV.
And we had the
And
50% threshold.
there was a threshold. There was also about even spending any money on that was a hard pill to swallow. So we spent the money that the need to have and not the nice to have. And I think that there were conversations. I didn't vote on that. Well, I guess maybe it was one of the first questions I voted on, Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
Questions about the roof.
That is a good example of need to have versus.
Right,
want.
questions about the roof. Oh, could we do the bathrooms? Could we do this, and this? But no, we're not doing those. We're just spending the money on addressing the NOV.
Right. All right, so I'm gonna bring it back to, I'm looking at the major changes to plan. You got those 4 new projects, fine. You got 3 project increases and 3 deductions. Touch on those briefly.
Sure, yeah, on the project increases, you have 2 tide gates, one increased by 4.5 million and the other increased by 2 million. And the reasons for that is we received a report after a study of those tide gates, and the report showed that the repair is no longer feasible and that a complete reconstruction of those tide gates was recommended and needed. So.
And remind me, are both of these on tonight's capital?
Only one of them is, it's the Riverside Creek tide gate.
Side, okay.
And then the police department rehabilitation, we put a placeholder for an increase of $4 million on that project, simply because we increased the scope of the renovation. The second floor, Detective Bureau is now being renovated, along with, the locker rooms were always to be renovated. And then also, the captain's in the chief's corner, is being renovated as well. We're doing some improvements to, the first floor lobby area, improving that space.
The first floor lobby always gonna be done.
That's
Taking
correct.
out an office, so what's to do with that?
We're adding, there needs to be a window for the parking department, public window for the parking. They share a window with Chief Records.
Okay,
So there needs to be some reconfiguration of the space.
we'll talk about that. I've been in there, I never see a line. I understood why there was a window for both.
Yeah, again, I have Chief Ferris here for questions on that item as well. And Bill Hurley for. Again, we're not voting on that item. That's just a notification.
We'll get about it when it comes for a full presentation, so.
So if you think about it, by using larger numbers as placeholders for this exercise and showing that we're still under our, unofficial policy, that's really kind of the point, right? So, okay.
And then we had a few deducts. We removed the mobile command shift replacement. That was 1.1 million, speaking with the police department, and the fire department. That was no longer needed and there was no grants available for it at the time, so we removed it off the plan. It was.
That was a vehicle that was proposed by past administrations that is not needed.
What is shift replace? I don't understand what mobile command vehicle or motor? That's the way it reads. Mobile command shift replacement. Is that a vehicle?
I believe it was some sort of.
I don't know what shift replacement means, but mobile command, from my experience, was this vehicle that was going to be purchased, which is not needed.
1.1 million?
Like a van or
Like a
something?
big van?
Yeah, so we have a mobile command post now, which, yeah,
Okay, all right.
what we have now is sufficient. We do not
What you
need,
have
we do
now
not
is
need a new vehicle.
Okay.
Thank you.
Need another state of the art.
I don't need another vehicle.
Here we go.
Mr. Becker.
What's on coming up?
Okay, thank you.
All right.
We're saving lots of money.
Body cams and dash cameras, that was brought to you, this board, it was agreed upon to adding it to the operating budget, so that was removed from the capital plan. And then we summarized kind of other changes, which was a deducting $250,000. That was a small, some smaller changes, including a little bit of escalation, some smaller project adding grants. And as part of the backup, if you go all the way to the back of the capital plan, there is a details of the changes. We really want to get into each individual change. That's major changes to the Board of Ed, not much. It was just updating the Dwight estimate to reflect the Steagall's report that came in front of the board. So I just wanted to match the capital plan.
So just to go back on our previous discussion, just to the amount, not address the timing of those, how that might be spread over 4 years instead of 3.
So right now,
Other 3.
yeah, so right now we have it forecasted out into FY '29. Based off of the presentation today, we'll have to push that out to 30.
And is it safe to say that if we're spreading this funding over 4 years instead of 3, it actually may take some pressure off of the debt service that bulges, I think, in 2031?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, I was just gonna be your bodyguard.
I don't understand what the 1,288,011, is that an increase to the cost of the Dwight School? Because we had these gentlemen here. And the chair of the building committee basically say it was not going to increase any of the costs. So why is there an increase of 1,288,011?
It was to match the latest Steagall's report. So the number that the building committee is using, I had the capital plan short one. The latest Steagall report. I won't.
And that's what we voted on.
That's what
That's,
we voted.
Okay.
when we did the waterfall, it was a lower number. And then Spigal's, after meeting with the Board of Education, changed the number. And then when the actual funding request came before the boards,
So this
this is the number that we approved.
Reflects the latest number that was.
That was
Okay,
approved.
that's helpful.
It's just bringing up.
Okay. And then a few deducts of some other changes, which was adding grants, removing some of those.
Can I just confirm, does the waterfall use the $76.4 million number for the,
The total, yes.
not the net?
The total, I believe our funding sources of the grant is a little bit different between the state reimbursements based off of what was presented today.
But I thought, I understood when we talked about this before, that we were gonna make sure that we didn't assume any reimbursements as far as our waterfall is concerned, because we have to fund it before we get.
No, that's correct. That is correct.
So.
That is correct.
My question is, yes, 76.4 million is
That
what
is
we're
correct.
using in this waterfall.
Correct.
Okay. Because I'm just trying to find it. I'm not seeing 76, like, wouldn't it be in this authorized open on the UED side? Would it be in that, where it says, what page? I'm sorry, on this.
You got a chart? What, does it have a page number on it?
It's just page 1.
One.
I'm just looking at like authorized open. That line. Where we have the, fiscal year 27, it has 15 million, 28 got 30 million, 29's got 27. That's the line that I kind of figure we were gonna be staying at the 30. That when I don't know, is that not supposed to, oh, that's since, okay, 74 million, I'm sorry. Is that what that means?
Total, isn't it?
Yeah.
For 10 years. That's part of it?
I'll let him. 27. Okay. It looks a little bit short of 74, so maybe you could just check that number.
You're on page one of the details of the.
Of
Oh,
your
the summary sheet. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Cumulative 10-year is 74 million, but I think Jim is saying that if you add up 27, 28, 29, he's getting a small, is that what you're saying, Jim?
What's that add up to?
Well, it could be right. I mean, that's supposed to add across the 10-year.
Yeah, this
column?
is cumulative.
Yeah, it's cute. All right. And that should be,
Right, but 74,
I guess, should that not equal 76.4? That's my question. You got 74. That's what I'm curious.
If the authorized open is exclusively.
There might be something else that maybe is on a different line. I don't know. Maybe it's consulting costs that don't get. I don't know. If you could just look that, take a look at it. Sure, check. I don't follow this up.
Great. Okay. Any other questions on this? Now we'll move into the actual voting item.
Yeah, sure. So you have a page called major assumptions.
Yeah.
Can you tell me if any of those major assumptions changed since the waterfall, since the capital project?
The only assumption that would have changed would be the coverage ratio for the debt service as a ratio of expenses. In the, when we did the plan in September, the ratio was 8.85, and assuming that the changes are made at the amounts that are on the schedule at 8.5, when increased to 8 point.
And
14 basis points.
Right, okay.
so all the interest assumptions were the same?
It would not, if we were done the plan today, none of the other assumptions would change.
Okay, so all that, and the town's general fund operating budget is still assumed to increase at 3.84%.
Correct, because we haven't done a budget since then.
Was that 3.84%? How did you come up with that?
We used an average of,
How many years?
I think it was 5.
Okay. And that'll be still the assumption for next year, 5-year average?
I think we'll look at it and see if there's an anomaly and whether it needs to be changed. But likely to be the same.
And then you have major project updates.
Yep.
This police department designs, when's the thing gonna start? Was that a while? Like, how long is this design take? I mean, it just seems like it's taken forever.
Construction documents will be ready in the middle of March. And at that point, we will be putting together a bid package to go out to bid. We wanted to get real bid numbers to present to you, to present to all 3 boards for authorization of the project. So
Are you gonna be holding up the project because of this other $4 million you plan on doing? Like, are you gonna be seeking that the whole project be done so that they can do the construction at the same time as opposed to finishing the first project and doing the $4 million add-on later on?
we'll be seeking it all together.
So you plan on coming back to us with funding requests pretty soon then?
Correct.
Because you're still in design phase. You can't move this to construction.
That is correct.
So do you think?
Is design still wrapping up? Are you in the middle of that design? Yeah. Okay.
That's right.
So is that?
Yeah, middle of March is when construction documents will be delivered to us. In the meantime, we're working with the police department on finishes. Delivered a mock-up locker for them to look at to see if they liked it, spec of it. So we're actively working with the police department.
Were you on our calendar? Do you want to be on our calendar for a week in April?
I will have to go out to bid after the middle of March. It'll take us probably a couple months to go out to bid. Up to the boards with a real accurate number.
If the board doesn't increase include this extra $4 million, you have the plans ready to go for the first portion?
If the board would like to minimize the scope, do that.
Okay.
Is the 4 million increase in the police get moved up from 31 to 28? Or was it just, was there a coincidence also that, we reduced their capital plan by 3.8 million and all of a sudden we found 4 million to spend there?
Kind of odd, isn't it? Kind of interesting.
Is it like use it or lose it on capital planning too?
There is no relationship between the two. It was just the project scope and what was assigned.
A major project scope increase. We went from like 2 million, 6 million.
Because it was like a locker room before. They're making it.
Locker room,
making it
the first
locker
floor
room.
renovation of the whole lobby. Take
Okay.
back that room that they want to have a shift commander, whoever's on for that given shift have. I mean, now it's like a big expansion.
I say up there that it's just for expansion of scope, but I believe the $2 million was light for the original scope. I mean, it is a locker room. We're adding another 144 lockers. We're doing bathrooms in the locker room. We're doing there's a conference room, there's the lobby renovations. It's an existing building. Once you open up ceilings, you don't know what you're going to find, so.
Maybe it's the Becker effect too, who knows?
It's not, we were working directly with.
This was a post, this was with a new chief and really going in and looking at an old building to meet the needs of the needs of a modern police station and what they thought that they needed. And if we're going in to make sure they're being comprehensive, so we're not coming back 2 years later saying, oops, we should have done this, and now it's cost us.
Yeah, I thought that's what we thought we were doing the first time, like somebody had looked at the whole project, but I mean, I guess we hadn't.
And I mean, the RTM has gone on tours. I know the chief left. I don't want to volunteer him again, but I think that if you want to, get an update and if you want to go and tour the building, I'm sure that he'd be happy to host you again to see.
We went through, I wasn't told about these other problems. I mean, I went for the tour. I saw the locker room.
Did you go?
When we were first approving this, there was a time to go through. I think it was Board of Finance and RTM at the end. But I did one there and I did one at the fire department.
Well, so I mean, I think we keep circling back to kind of the original question that Mr. Myers brought up. I just don't think we're in the position to prioritize it. So I mean, truly, I think we need to be focusing on if we have a policy, if we say, okay, this is what we can handle to do, still keep a great credit rating, still keep debt service at a level that's acceptable. Apparently this board thinks is acceptable in the budget. That's what we need to ground our decisions in. Because I'm personally, I don't know anything about construction. And I don't know what the police need. And all we can kind of do is get people to come in here and not that we shouldn't question. But I do think we kind of go down these roads of like, is this the priority? We need to do this. And I would like us to focus more on, if we think the spending is too much, that's fine. If we think, and the way that it hits the budget, I mean, I've been talking about this for a while. I'm really concerned about it because it's going to crowd out stuff that I want to do in the budget. So, I mean, these are valid things, but it's hard for us as the Board of Finance to go down every particular project and weigh in whether we think it's a priority, whether we think they need to do this. I walked into the police office, you didn't walk, like, what are we talking about? What are we, I guess I'm saying like, it would be great if we could maybe collectively say, what's going to be our framework for making these decisions? What's really our I was going to say like our guideposts. To me, it's kind of, if we have this policy, if our bond advisors are saying, okay, you guys can kind of handle this, still get good credit. I'm sort of in favor of not kicking things too far down the line.
I agree with you, Shane. My thing is, I'm surprised to see it on here when I read it.
Because we have $2 million.
If we had just got it. And I presume that when we're doing a building, that we're looking at the whole building. I mean, maybe I'm naive on the way things should be done.
No, hey, I was surprised to see it. I was surprised to see it on there too.
Yeah.
Totally. I was, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's like, and then what? I mean, I guess our decision is, can the town handle the cost? Can the taxpayer handle the cost? Can we afford to not do it now and then in 10 years do it at, who knows what the real cost will be then?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm really just saying that not as, I agree. talked to you before, I was surprised to see this massive increase of a project that we all thought was gonna be $2 million. It's just that I don't have the capacity to do these things. Our scope is not that wide, and I don't think we have among us even the skill set to sort of say what's the priority, and what isn't it. John does, John has it, but I don't know.
I just think that when we do a building, we should look at the whole building and do it and attack it at one point in time. That's why I'm surprised to see a 200% increase in the cost. Like, why wasn't this thought about before? But whatever, we'll do it. Go with it. That's what I'm glad it's being done before construction kicks off.
We're, but I said, we just had a conversation about Penfield and we didn't do the bathrooms.
Yeah,
because-
that's another one.
But it's the whole building.
Yeah.
So we didn't do it on purpose because it's nice to have some and, need to have.
I mean,
You can look at it both ways.
I guess the thing is like Penfield's an example. Okay, so, or any project is that we talk about, okay, we're adding another, this is obviously as this is a big increase to this project, but any other project, okay, we're adding $1 million. Maybe doing expanding projects is more sensible. Because you nibble at it away, you get part of the project, 5 years later, that's more expensive. So, maybe we need to be more permissive in, okay, the police or the fire department, whoever wants to do something, really, what do you want to do? Don't drip it out.
Yeah, that's what I don't like on school projects. Let's just do the whole project and move on to the next, to the next building. And like on the Penfield thing, I think we're all getting project fatigue.
Yeah.
Having to deal with Penfield. Like, I think there was, I think some noticeable, like, what is this? Like,
Well, I think this was a very healthy dialogue, honestly, because I think you guys were talking about two different things, but they were very related. And to Shane's point, I also agree that I don't think it's the Board of Finance's business to decide what the priorities are. I appreciate if someone asks our opinion, but I think they almost ask us as residents as opposed to board officials. But by the same token, I think to your point, Mr. Walsh, it's good for this board to know, is this a piece of a project that, are we going to get drips and drabs next year or the year after or the year after, or is this comprehensive? Because it is good to know that we're going to put this in and it's going to be behind us, or should we expect to see a little bit more next year? I think both of those are very valid points.
And just not just to go back by saying and tie it out. That's why I think understanding dollar amount, what its impact is on capital plan is important. Because it's really easy to get sticker shock. You see $1 million. Oh my gosh, that's $37,000 of interest payments this year. Is that gonna swing the budget? No, it's not.
Right.
But thinking a little bit big picture there, one thing would help us be more open to expanding projects and not doing them piecemeal. Just give us more clarity into this whole 10-year plan.
Okay, so the slide that you have up now, Eli, talks about the 2026 bond authorizations. These are the voting items on our agenda tonight. So I'd like to focus on these now. Yes.
I just had one question, probably for Mr. Harris, but and thank you for providing the revised summary. I'm looking at the fiscal year 27 bond and comparing it to the September waterfall, and it's significantly lower on both the town and the Board of Ed side. In the current iteration, it's about 29 million, and in September it was 59 million. So I wonder what changed on both the town and the Board of Ed side to reduce that bonding in those summaries. It's just a significant decrease from
You know what
September.
those projects were?
Sorry, what page are you referring to?
Page one of both September and January.
Yeah, so one of our initiatives of meeting with department head is getting a cash flow on all the projects and understanding we don't want to bond anything that we're not actually spending. So that's probably the biggest factor in the decrease in the 27.
$30 million. Total decrease.
Yeah.
Are you looking at, what's the, you're looking at the yellow columns, current fiscal year,
Fiscal year 27.
27. And you're seeing 28.9?
25.7 on the town side for 13.4 currently. And then on the Board of Ed, subtotal is 33.6 and it's 15.5. So it just seems, comparing those two columns. $39.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, maybe you push things out from 27 because the 10-year total is about 10 million more than what it was in September, which makes sense because you just told us tonight we're looking at about 10 million. So that ties out the 10-year total, but I'm just saying for the next fiscal year, what we're bonding, it just.
So the stretching out Board of Ed program, the Dwight, stretching it out further out, that that one of the drivers?
Is that in here? Stretched out? No.
No, it's only to 29.
Yeah, this is playing out.
We'll get you a schedule for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, well, we should know.
Where did you say you saw the percentage of?
There are percentages in terms of coverage.
Yeah.
On the summary presentation, maybe you can pull it up on the board. It's on the online backup.
It's on one of the slides too.
Yeah.
It's debt implications.
Debt implications, which is the backup online is page 80. But it's this page, it should be in your, I think it's probably.
It's
this
just,
one here.
look,
It has it on the,
That one. Okay, can we talk about the bond authorization? Those are the voting items for tonight. Okay, so. Yeah, I'm in three spots here, category. We're not gonna, we're staying, this is still part of the
Oh, I'm
summary,
sorry,
so
you're
I'm
right.
hoping we can have a discussion here and then that way the vote.
Gotcha.
Okay.
First one's item number 6 on the agenda, which is the capital over $1 million PW capital equipment plan.
And all of these were on the waterfall, correct?
Right.
Are the dollar amounts consistent with what was on the waterfall, or are they updated or changed in any meaningful way?
No, it stayed the same.
I'd like to cover all three of these in terms of discussion, and then we'll move on to the next. We're still in section 5. So this area, we're just talking about the bond authorizations. It's on the three voting items on our agenda. The first category consists of 4 projects. All of them were on the waterfall, and that changed. So no surprises on that one. So the second category was capital over 1 million. Correct.
And that's actually our first item on the agenda is
Yeah.
capital.
Yeah, it's kind of a reverse order. There's detailed descriptions of the equipment. How does this compare to what was on the wall?
The number that is asking the bond is on the water.
Yeah. Okay. Are all of the equipment gotta be purchased in the first year, or is this over 3 years?
This is over 3 years.
So why would we approve 3 years worth of purchases as opposed to just this year? Do they have to order well in advance, or is there some reason why you wouldn't seek the first of 3 years tonight? And
Yeah, some of them are larger lead time items that take time.
3 years in advance?
John, probably.
Answer that a little bit.
It took about 20 months to get one truck. Is it 3 years? No, but it's a 3-year plan. And we've been doing for the past 6 years or so where we do a 3-year approval. It's not a year, but there are that's over years easily on some of this equipment. I really have been very frustrated waiting 20 months for a truck like that.
Mr. Mottola.
I think you should probably sit down.
Let me get my notes.
So combination sewer truck with 12-yard debris body capable of hydro excavation. I read why we need it. I kind of understand it, but cost $682,500. You say in your explanation that over the years you rented one of these or you've used outside contracting. How much money, you tell me, have you spent per year? She like it's compared to or hiring outside contractors?
So we started out using a company where they provided the truck and an operator. You'd have to then turn around and send one of our employees with them to the town and report when they do. Wound up being almost $30,000 a month. We then turned around and did some pouring around, and we were able to rent this whole backdrop from a company at $15,500 a month, where we supplied our personnel. We operated it for about 4 months, putting up some statements as well as doing some of these hydro excavations. We still haven't gotten through all the catch basins for your stormwater deep requirements. You know, they expect you to go around every catch basin every year, clean at least once. We got 7,000. We're lucky if we get 40. The other big item on this thing, you have a camera truck. We camera our storm lines before we pave the road so that we don't find out that we have a collapsed line. Actually paved it, we're paving it. When you turn around and do run your camera truck, you first have to flush the system out, which requires this truck work. So having the vehicle there and being able to use it is going to get used.
So what's the life expectancy for something like this?
Probably about 18 years.
Thank you for. I figured he'd have the history.
Yeah, yes,
That's what I
correct.
told you to state.
But I think, to highlight one of the things that John brought up is, we're required to clean our catch basins once a year. It's recommended we do it twice. And renting it for months at a time, we really can't get all of them and get on a good maintenance schedule. So that's.
Another person. If you don't, well, I have. How, tell me on the 6-wheel lift truck, snow plow for 309. If I go down the backup, you have a truck that's got 58,733 miles on that. I assume that's the truck you're gonna replace. That sounds to me a vehicle that has really low mileage.
Low mileage, but it'll be 20 years old. You want to try and keep the fleet under 20 years old. Otherwise, they start rusting apart. And that will be a vehicle that's 20 years old.
I mean, you do say vehicle frame is heavily rusted and beyond its useful service life. So it has low mileage because it's just driving around town, basically.
Right.
Okay. But it's 20 years old.
And this is a frontline truck for snow.
Okay.
So, you know, frontline truck, if it goes down, that route's not getting done. You know, you kind of rely on it.
Now, this one, some of the other ones you say we're keeping it as a backup. Bid, whatever. This one doesn't have, you getting rid of this stuff?
That one,
What is it?
if that, let's see, it's 162. We'll probably hold for a year or two until we get the other trucks in and then disperse. We'll be put as a back line and just kept as.
Sell it for what you can get it for.
Yeah, we put it out on Gov Deals and then that one just goes into the general fund.
Okay. Before any of these trucks we're talking, seems like a lot of the trucks you use plowing for. I know we've been replacing some over a lot, but can you give me some sense of how many we've replaced? Or how many there are still, including these two replaced? I know we were very well behind, our fleet was very old, but like, how many do you think
You-
you've
you were
purchased over the
very-
last
I've been-
5 years? Give me some sense of what you think of. Not the whole
Probably about
number.
12.
Well, we've replaced.
Because I know my first year, we were doing like 4, when Marcelio
yeah,
came
yeah.
in, it was
Yep.
like 4
Yeah.
this year, 4 the
Yep.
next year, then we dropped down to 2.
Yep.
And then we've been dropping down to 1 a year.
Yep.
In 16 years, you know, hopefully we don't get hit where you got that many, you know, years.
And then tonight, you look like you're looking like you're replacing like 3 more.
1 year.
That's
yeah,
correct.
Correct.
3, so these will be
3.
3 over 3 years.
3 over 3 years.
Approximately 1 year. Okay. Okay. So after this 3 years, will we have a pretty young fleet?
I think so.
Okay. It'll be
It'll
12.
all be on
plus
under.
these 3 will get you.
Right, the
15.
majority will be, yes, young,
Okay,
but we'll,
okay.
we'll still have a couple of older that would,
Okay.
in
Okay.
3 years.
Okay.
That will be kept under. I mean, ideally, if we can keep them under 20 years, we're doing pretty good. And they're fairly reliable that way.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on the capital? Mr. Walsh.
You have a new addition to the fleet, this is for the 20, something called, I just don't know what it is. But
Yep.
tracked material.
Material
I
stacker.
don't even know what that is.
So-
Explain that to.
It's basically, it's like a conveyor belt with a bucket on the bottom. Our salt dome holds 3,500 tons of
Okay.
salt. And it is a dome shape.
Yes.
When we get our loads, we currently use a payloader and we push it up as much as possible. You're not gonna get the full usage of the dome. You're gonna get maybe 2,500 tons of it. So just a little over 2/3.
Just gotta ramp it up, drop
But
it.
this ramps it up and fills it up so that you can maximize it, which seeing this past storm and all our public works officials up and down the coast and throughout the state, we are in a jam of getting salt. We're on this listserv and all you hear is all these different public works directors saying, hey, have you gotten any? Have you gotten any? I think what happened was with the icing down south, that they diverted a lot of the salt down south. Fortunately, we started the year out at the end of last year, filling our thing to the maximum of 3,500 tons.
Okay.
Otherwise, we would be.
But this will
We
like.
did that by,
Challenge.
we borrowed one from another
Oh,
municipality.
you borrowed.
We
Oh,
we did it by borrowing one from another municipality. We've looked at trying to rent these things, but you just can't get them when you need them.
Okay. Everybody needs them at the same time. Pretty much.
If you can get, if you can find one.
How long is the useful life of something like this?
20 years?
20 years, okay. And this is something you think should stay?
Rent this out to another town and charge them for it, or would we just as a courtesy, if someone wanted to?
Trumbull has been very generous to us to lend it to us. We wind up having to rent a tow truck because this thing folds it all up. And then we rent hire one of the tow companies to tow it down. We unassemble it, set the whole thing up, use it for the couple of weeks that we're getting our loads in, fold it back up, and then we rent the tow truck to take it back up to them.
The other new addition to the fleet for fiscal year 8 is this Ford F-50 utility truck with this all-tech telescoping aerial lift, which I presume is for cutting trees.
No.
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 What is it?
Our tree trucks go up about 70 feet. This goes up, it's a smaller vehicle, so when you go up on a tree truck, you're putting out spreaders for stabilization, and everything else. You can go that far. This, you don't have to put out the spreaders. You can work right in the bucket and form smaller items. So we're in the middle of an intersection, changing light bulbs on a traffic light. You're not shutting down the entire intersection. You're just in the middle lane with the proper safety setup to it.
It's not for trees.
It's not, it's.
Okay, for other
it's not
things
really-
that you have to get out.
Street lights, the
Yeah,
pedestrian
street, the
lights.
other items are street lights, signs. I mean, the sign, the bottom of the sign's supposed to be 6 feet, so either you're using some type of ladder to get up to 7 or 8 feet, and, you know.
Okay. And what have we done before when we used to all this stuff?
We have shut down intersections, we use the tree truck bucket, or guys turn around and, bounce off the ladder.
Okay. I think the rest of the stuff is things.
Thank you. So this, you're proposing, it's 3 trucks and then several other pieces of equipment?
Correct, over 3-year period.
And as far as prioritization, obviously, they all sound pretty important. It sounds like we're actually gonna save the town some money with the one truck we've been renting. We got it for 50, and now we're looking at buying it. I mean, I assume as we're considering against other things, we just, sounds like a prioritization, but again, I don't know. So I would assume this is a pretty important thing to do, and it takes time to order and get the vehicle for the 20 months.
The order that it's in here over the 3 years of the prioritization of the equipment that when we need it.
But you might have to order something from 2 years from now.
I don't.
You don't know. All right.
Thank you.
We will, work with our vendors to say, hey, we have approvals, we know this is coming down the line. Depends on how much they want to they're like that finalized.
Okay.
Thank you.
So let's take us, if you could take us through the last, final item on your slide here, which is the tide gate.
That's a separate item on the agenda.
So just to be clear, we're still in section, item 5.
Oh, okay.
So because this is your slide, which kind of highlighted the 3
Understood.
resolutions, I wanted to have the discussion on all 3 here. And we'll move on to 6, take a vote, 7 vote, 8 vote. So,
I understand now where you're going. I thought we were on 6.
yeah, sorry, I didn't, with this all on one, I wanted to deal with that. Okay. Tide gates. Oh, and gentlemen, just a gentle, friendly reminder, last time you were here, we talked about possibly getting an update on how you're doing versus plan for your snow removal at our next meeting, which is in about 12 days.
Well, I kind of thought you were gonna hit me up on that right now.
I wanna hear-
I have numbers for you right now.
Do it in a week.
Yeah, we'll do it in a couple.
You may have to update.
Because, yeah, we got something coming.
This weekend may adjust it, but our overtime is shot. Tell Mother Nature to snow up during the working hours, not on weekends.
Or a holiday.
Fair enough. All right, so why don't we discuss the tide gate?
Tide gate, man, here he comes.
Mr. Earl, welcome.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Regarding the Riverside Tide Gate, first, on the original plan, we actually had it for the following fiscal year. We actually moved it up.
Out of meeting?
Out of need, yeah. Tim Bishop, Mega Jane, and myself decided to move the project up. Unfortunately, the area in the dike by the Tide Gate has experienced 2 sinkholes in 2025, one in March and one in the fall. And so that is a warning sign to us that has to get addressed sooner than later. The good news is it's already in about 60% design. And so right now we're in the permitting stage for that. And so it'll probably take 6 months to a year, but the permit was submitted late fall, so we hope to get the permit sometime in summer to fall this. And based on that, provided there's no major changes, we could then probably put the project out to bid shortly after they just tidy up the final. And that's why we have it on this year's budget. There were three options. One was to basically, and it was mentioned before that, you know, the original request was really a repair or just a simple tie gate replacement. But this now would be the whole, the option one is the whole pipe and tie gate, but it leaves everything else the same. So we're calling that option, which is a little bit cheaper as a replacement kind. The problem with that though is stone head wall. And like if you had to go and repair the tie gate now, today, for some reason, it's extremely dangerous. Matter of fact, we just got a note, I think from our risk manager saying that, you know, we should try to avoid projects on slippery and steep slopes, and this one fits the bill right there. You know, perfect timing for that one. And so so that would be the replace in kind. It is the cheaper one, but really it doesn't account for any sea level rise. It doesn't account for any hydraulics. Grace, our consultant, do a hydraulic study. And this is one of those rare breeds that we have to look at the 100-year rainfall event and a 100-year tidal storm surge. So you're getting hit from both sides. They analyzed the three options. That was the first one was replace in kind. The second one is called replacement with an SRT, self-regulating tie gate, and a concrete head wall. That gives you a little bit more stability. It's safer for the workers, and that's option two. That would be, as I said, safer maintenance. It reduces some scour potential and it extends the service life. The option three, which is the most expensive, but two pipes and two tie gates are better than one hydraulically as well. And so this way, if water does get in from a storm surge over the dike, it will leave the area in 24 hours, and that's even with future storms or future sea level rise. And if it was a 100-year storm, I think it came down to 13 hours that it would drain. So having the second pipe would definitely help during a rainfall event and a storm surge. And it'd be two different types of tie gates. One is a self-regulated tie gate. When it reaches a certain level, it will close the gate so that we don't totally bomb out, you know, neighborhoods. It's control. The other one is the sluice gate, which you usually can kind of crank, and it goes up and down. And that's where we can, again, if there was backwater, we can set that and let all the water out. Or if in an event of maybe even, I'll just call it in the summer where we're not getting enough water, tidal flushing, environmental, you can crank that and allow in dry weather, more tidal water to go in, kill the phragmites, reduces fires. And environmentally, that's much better situation. So that's why we recommended option number three. And I'm here to answer any other questions you might have.
Just to be clear, you've accelerated the timeline.
That's well, for the construction, yeah. As I said, we've already started the design and yeah.
I do want to bring up one thing. This is we're revising an existing bond resolution. So part of the backup does show a list of, on page 5, Exhibit A list of other projects. These were previously bonded. They need to be included because we are revising the existing bond resolution.
All right, any questions? Mr. Hurley? Okay. Well, then we'll call that a conclusion of section 5 or item 5, summary of the capital project. We'll go on to the voting items.
You look at the non-recurring, that first group.
Oh, yeah, sorry. You want to go back to that?
Yep.
Yeah.
we could, we have Anthony Calabrese, I believe online. He can speak to the two playground replacements and the tennis court rebuild.
And I think, well, we touched on this earlier, you talked about how these were on the waterfall for these, so there are no changes originally contemplated, right?
Yeah, I believe there was a small change of 68,000 for the Southport median project, but that was small dollar. Anthony?
Here he comes.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Anthony. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. As you guys previously stated, these three projects, at least from Parks and Rec, have been on the waterfall chart for several years. And the prices have just gone up with the inflation. So those have been reflected and carried on here. I'm happy to answer any questions. But the backup, pretty thorough as far as these projects. Each of the playgrounds are 25 plus years old, and the tennis courts were redone in 2006. So just to stay consistent, we were going post-tension like we've done with all our other tennis projects. So, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
You've had a lot of success with that post-tension application, right?
We have. It's been fantastic.
Any specific questions for Mr. Calabrese? Yeah, Mr. Walsh.
Anthony, after if we do this one and with all the other playgrounds that we did with ARPA money, how many approximately more playgrounds are there to be rehabilitated?
I want to say off the top of my head, there's 5 or 6 remaining. They're carried on the waterfall chart, the 10-year plan.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Yep.
And then Eli, did you want to talk about this fourth bullet with respect to the Southport medians?
I can talk.
Okay, great.
Yeah, the Southport medians, another name for that could be Southport Islands. If you're not familiar with Southport there, it's the area where the Pequot Monument is. There was a recent new transit bus shelter there. Those 3 islands there, and then there's about 3 cut-through roads. So we were going to block off one of them and increase, green space and provide, less impervious surface environmentally, create more of a welcoming so that people wanted to look at the monument that, that's not so close to the road, if you know what I mean. And the other concerns for all that was we did a road safety audit back in, I think it was 2018. And from that, we were able to get the Southport Connectivity Project going. And we did some sidewalk and some pedestrian improvements there at Kings Highway West and Center Street and Hulse Highway, that area there. That project's just about wrapped up. But unfortunately, that was limited funding with a capped grant amount. So the remainder of the project is what we're going for. We're going for a lot SIP grant. It's been approved by MetroCog. The next step is for us to go to the DOT and just finalize with an application and finalize that approval. And then we would have to pay all the design costs, which is what we're looking for now. And then the grant, lots of grant would cover 100% of state funding for the construction part of the project. And so that's what this project's about. Basically between Pease Avenue and I'll say Center Street, that area there. And if you're a longtime Fairfield resident, you'll know that I think that area hasn't changed much since the building of the turnpike, if you know what I mean. So, again, safer pedestrian access, maybe even narrowing the road. One spot, I think it was 71 or 91 feet wide, Route 1. I mean, it's just uncalled for. That's where, again, we could narrow the road and add some more green space to it. So there's a lot of benefits for that. Handicap ramps, perhaps a better pedestrian crossing because there's really no place to cross.
Right.
And so maybe we'll do an RRFP or something like that. We could maybe add street trees wherever there's no utility conflicts. And again, the existing sidewalks that there are probably from the seventies, if you know what I mean. And so, it's time for them to be replaced, and if we can get grant money for do it rather than take it out of DPW budget, why not?
Absolutely.
I'm here for any other questions.
How long will the design phase take?
Based on other projects, optimistically would be probably 9 months because it will have to for a survey. It could take a year. Unfortunately, Route 1 is a state highway. It does require DOT approval. But this is something they're somewhat familiar with because we've mentioned this project in the past to them. And they recently were helpful in getting a fairly quick approval for the bus shelter that was put in. We needed to get their a permit from them on that. So they're familiar with the area. And they've also been the administrators for the Southport connectivity.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Walsh.
Can you explain to me what road you're getting rid of?
Oh, it's
I'm trying to.
Yeah, I
understand
might
this area
do,
because I know people from Southport come this way so that they can get onto Post Road. So they cut through here.
middle, it's the middle, most likely it's this middle one.
And what's that used for, that?
Well, that's why it's not used at all.
People come down here and then take a right?
There'll be another, there's two of these right next to each other. So we're gonna, we'll do a traffic count to confirm which one would go, but there's two choices and you only need one. So hopefully that answers your question.
I think it did.
Just speaking on prioritization, this project was moved up because we got the lots of grants. So we brought that up, seeking design money because of the.
All right, well, if we're done with the discussion, I think we'll move on to item number 6. Now we get to the fun voting stuff. Item number 6, the 15-year capital, to hear and consider and adopt a bond resolution entitled a resolution appropriating $2,642,350 for the purchase of vehicles and equipment for the Department of Public Works and authorizing the issuance of bond to finance such appropriation. The full resolution is available in the backup. This item was approved by the Board of Selectmen at their previous meeting, and it does require our approval along with the RTM. Mr. Walsh.
So moved.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Elwanger. Thank you. Okay. We do have bond counsel on the line as well. We've got the description from friends at the DPW and with Eli in engineering. So any further questions on this before we move to a vote?
It says, was this approved by the Board of Selectmen?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were all these approved? So we just get that out of the way. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Before we take a vote, any comment from the public? Not seeing any. Okay, so we can go to a vote. All in favor of approving this resolution as quoted? Unanimous. Great, thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 7, which is the non-recurring capital 20 years. I'll read the resolution. To hear and consider and adopt a bond resolution entitled a resolution appropriating $1,031,875 for the cost of certain non-recurring capital projects and authorizing the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation. Full resolution is available in the backup. As previously stated, this item was approved by the Board of Selectmen at the last meeting and does require our approval along with the RTM. We have bond counsel on. If we have any questions, we should still have Mr. Calabrese if we have any questions, Mr. Hurley is here as well. Any further questions? No? Yes.
Good question. You had mentioned that there was on page 5, you're including these with the previously approved. What is the change of what we approved versus what the ask is?
$2,212,800 is what's going to be added to things.
We're on item number 7.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's the three Parks and Rec projects along with the Southport.
Oh, this is a new bond resolution.
Understood, but so I guess this is the first time we're being asked to approve it, but I think what Ms. Ruggiero is talking about is what amounts were contemplated in the capital plan that was rolled forward.
She's. Yeah, I think the Southport one is the only one that went up, and it went up by, it's had it. $69,250.
That's the only one that was $69,000 change of what we talked about, or what was in the capital. plan.
Previously, yes, yep.
Thank you.
Not seeing any other questions, not seeing any comment from the public. To the vote, all in favor? Unanimous. Okay, thank you. And item number 8, non-recurring capital 20 years. To hear and consider and adopt a bond resolution amending and restating a resolution entitled a resolution appropriating $3,817,899 for the cost of certain non-recurring capital projects and authorizing the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation. To increase the appropriation and bond authorization for the Riverside Creek Tide Gate project by $2,212,800 for a total appropriation and bond authorization under the resolution of $6,030,699 and to expand the scope of the Riverside Creek Tide Gate. The full resolution is available in the backup. This was approved by the Board of Selectmen at their last meeting. This does require our again, we have a bond counsel here. Mr. Hurley is here along with Eli. Any other questions on this matter?
I just have one question I forgot. In regards to the tide gate, I know we have this one, then we have another one coming up that we talked about, kind of this evening on the full replacement, whatever. And are there any other tide gates on the horizon after that, or once we get to tide gates, or for a while on the tide gate situation?
We have a tide gate inventory. These were the ones that were critical. There'll be, I believe, some smaller tide gates where maybe it's only a 12-inch with a flap gate, so it won't be significantly cheaper. And possibly even some of them could be repaired by either DPW conservation staff, and there might be some other ones that will have to go out to bid, but as far as the real big ones, right now, those are the ones. And if there is another, there may be another one in the hopper. I'll have to double check. But we had it for you might have recalled, there was a 3-year capital plan on the tie gates. So I know we've been tackling them, crossing them off the list. There still are a couple up there, but I don't think there is much as these.
Okay, thank you. I'm ready to.
And I apologize. I read the resolution, never called for a motion or so. Second, Mr. Mottola. Still new at this. Okay, so ready to vote. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. All right, so moves, but sign on the agenda, which is the internal audit update. 4 items on the 4 audits to discuss. Unfortunately, Ms. Saxel is not with us tonight. She's got a health issue. So I think it would probably be best, while it was great that we had a chance to review the audits, I prefer to defer this to another meeting where we have a chance to ask questions.
Will be here until?
She's here until the 15th, I think.
16th, and the expectation is that we can get her back, I'll make her available, even if she leaves after.
So if she's available at our quarterly on the, in 12 days, right, that work.
The question I have, I guess, is we're kind of not following our normal procedure with the audit committee. The audit committee normally gets the stuff. We review it. If we need more information, we're able to ask Ms. Saxel for it. And there's a whole process that we normally follow. And while I understand and appreciate wanting the whole board to have her before the date she leaves, I still would like to follow the procedure because that's the way we always do it. And if we have to pay her to come like another day, I'd still like the audit committee to go through its normal procedures.
You're right about that, but these audits were recently completed. And my thought process, I talked to Craig about it, was at some point during the year, if she wasn't gonna retire, she would come before us and understood updates to this. So I thought it was more appropriate for this one time to have her come to the entire board, present these. And I thought it was appropriate because she was retiring. I thought we would all want to see her.
I understand it.
But I do intend to go back to the regular routine. Now, in fairness, I don't know when we're gonna have these internal audits happening anytime soon because we have to hire a new internal auditor. I don't know where we are with respect to that. So there's gonna
We
be.
get an update on that tonight, so we have.
We are interviewing. We've interviewed two candidates. We have one additional candidate to interview, and I think that from the pool that we've interviewed, we have someone who will recommend to the first select person and hopefully go forward.
Okay, so if we meet as a group and we need more information, then we punt it to that person to pick up where Connie left off?
I think that the intent is to hopefully get Connie involved to complete the review of these reports, even after she's left. I mean, I can't guarantee that she'll do that.
Yeah.
And if she's not available, then we'll have to, between whoever the new person is and myself, we'll have to address your question.
Okay, so there's a possibility at least that if we need more information following our meeting, then we can potentially, we could actually talk to her, I guess. She might still be willing to complete them and get whatever additional information the board wants.
She might be, I can't.
If she's not, then it would be punted to the new.
It's on me to
Yes.
manage the process.
Is she just so I'm clear, is Connie done with all of her audits? She's not.
Yes.
In the middle of anything else?
They are.
So the next internal audit that's done will be done
Done
by
by
the
the
new
new
person.
person, correct.
Who's gonna take some time to get up to speed, whoever that person is. But Mr. Walsh, I appreciate what you're saying. My intent is to call a meeting of the audit committee. We can elect our officers, set a scheduled dates the next year or so, and then kind of just see where we are, because I don't know if we're gonna have any completed internal audits anytime soon. It may take a couple of months, right? So.
I don't know, Tom, what, you've done this before. You've had internal auditors who've reported to you. I mean, I presume that if we give them something fresh, say they get hired.
Yeah, I mean, I think that,
Audits to do, you would give them the audits to do and they should be able to run with it.
should be able to get, pick
Run
up
with it,
all
right?
and-
Speed?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
I mean, I'm not saying they're gonna know every town
No, okay.
personnel and stuff. They might take them a little longer to do the audit than
Yeah.
they could do it, but.
The goal was to get someone in before Connie left and have a transition that hasn't worked out, so.
Can I just make one request? One of the things in the audit did mention, that in the past, the budget books had contained a glossary of revenues and expenditures. She suggested that, practice be revived. I think it'd be great. I don't know where, if the budget book's done already, forget it, but if it would be nice to have even just as like a side.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, but I think it needs to be updated, the glossary, and then I think the to insert that is doing the budget process.
Oh, yeah. No, but I think your point.
And then include it in the book.
Yeah, I think you're raising the point because by the time we actually sit down and go through this, the budget book's gonna be published, right? So, yeah, duly noted. So, okay, so we'll not postpone to a specific date because we're not sure about, but the expectation or hope would be that it would be at our quarterly in 12 days. Okay. All right, So that'll allow us to move on to item two, old business. We had 4 items that were open dates for this meeting. So we will review that. They are the police department vehicle insurance question. I believe we have a new risk manager here to take us through that conclusion and close that item. Then we have 3 items related to the fire department. So we'll address those, but why don't we start, the backup for this is on page 208 of the online packet. And I apologize, if you could introduce yourself and to the board. I think it's the first time we get to meet you. So.
Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Good, how are you?
My name is Joey Barbera. I am the Director of Risk Management for the town of Fairfield, and I'm happy to be here. I've come to the town with over 25 years of risk management, public entity, public sector, insurance, safety, security background.
Great. Okay.
Aboard.
Thank you.
So I believe the open item was a question related to whether it made sense for the town to self-insure for its police vehicle fleet.
Or insure.
Or insure.
Yeah, or insure.
Right, like,
I think we're self-insuring.
We have been self-insured, and we fully insure. And I believe you've had a chance to take a look at that question.
I have. And I guess the long and short of it, to get to the answer to the question, is it makes more fiscal sense from a risk exposure and a financial exposure to fully insure the police vehicles, the police fleet.
Fully insured with an insurance company?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so traditional insurance through an insurance carrier, which for auto physical damage, we already have the auto liability, but the auto physical damage, so damage to our vehicles. Currently, anytime that a vehicle is damaged or totaled, is responsible for the cost of those repairs. The cost to replace those repairs can be significant. Total police vehicle is somewhere in the realm of $78,000 under state contract bids for the police vehicle and agreed amounts for the proper upfitting. It is anticipated, looking at the loss history, that we'll have to replace 3 total police vehicles a year for somewhere in the realm of $240,000 per year. We currently can secure traditional auto physical damage, again, coverage for our vehicle, for no more than $90,000 a year.
That's a great difference.
Significant automatic savings.
So just 1 second. So as a round number,
Yes.
annual premium equates to 1 car. So if we total 1 car, we're pretty much break even. And
Hopefully we don't, but.
yeah, but
So if historically we total 3 cars a year, won't our premiums go up eventually? If we're like.
Eventually, so right now, right now we could expect to pay around $780 per vehicle for coverage. And that's insuring 115 police vehicles. The nice thing about that is we would be using a reputable commercial public entity insurance carrier that has background in dealing with a multitude of police fleets in Connecticut. So regarding the pricing, could it? Sure, but we can negotiate.
And the other thing is we also can fully self-insure. I mean, reach that
No, I
point.
get it. Yeah, we can always go back.
Yeah.
Correct. We can
Right.
always-
I mean, aren't there higher risk vehicles for collision? I mean, would you have to insure every one of them? Or, I mean, there's some that are maybe like more detective.
So a police vehicle is deemed a police vehicle, so they're gonna have to, and under the way they're defined statutorily, they're gonna have lights and sirens and have to respond to emergencies, regardless of whether it's the chief command vehicle or it's a detective vehicle. And these vehicles typically can get into accidents regardless of the purpose or position.
Yeah, Mr. Walsh.
The cost, it's 115 vehicles. It always shocks me every time we talk about this, that we have about as many vehicles as we have police officers. Seems hard to believe since they're not all working deck.
Mhm.
Right, they use the same squad car or cruisers or whatever you call them. So I think it'd be worthwhile to explore that inventory again, to find out from the chief whether there's any it's not being held on to.
Yeah, that would be a conversation I'll investigate and follow up to.
It's- But it seems like a drastic savings, like why not?
It's a significant savings.
They know our loss history.
They do.
Okay.
And they
I
know,
don't want to hear them disclaiming later on that.
they know our loss history, they know our total fleet, and they've also rated us based on a Fairfield County peer comparable.
Which probably works better for us.
It's better for us.
Ms. Myers, are we unique to other towns in terms of what
So-
insure or not to sure? Like what are like the Greenwich?
Yes. You tend to find that because of the exposure, the volatility and uncertainty, as we saw over the last several years with the cost of vehicles and getting the vehicles, there is a significant portion of municipalities that fully insure their vehicles traditionally.
Okay, does our carrier tell us where to go for repairs? Because we were major.
We would have,
There was like, we were choosing specific people without going out to bid on any of that stuff, like, so you'd be involved in that?
our carrier will be the one making the decision on where the vehicles
That's great.
Mr. Ellinger. Have you bid this to multiple carriers? And if so, which one have you chosen to carry?
We went to one of our current carriers and asked them to do that, to offer us a price. The reason why we did it, because we were able to get it quick and efficiently. And again, my knowledge of that particular organization, it's a very well respected organization. If they came back above that number, the plan was to then formally go out to bid for it.
So you're comfortable with that?
Yes, and I could expect it to come in lower.
Yeah. Are we just, and maybe you know the answer to this, are we required to put this out to bid though?
We are not required to put it out to bid. As far as I understand, I spoke to the purchasing agent and so forth.
It was fine with what you were. Okay.
It's a current contract that we currently have with a current insurance carrier. We're just adding coverage.
Okay.
Eventually, that could be put out to bid. for-
Correct. If we change the insurance carrier,
We put it out.
we
Okay.
would want to, we would use our insurance agent to request bids from multiple insurances. We're just simply adding coverage to an existing policy. It's like adding a car to your.
Yep. Got it.
Have we executed that yet, or is
Yeah,
it, okay, and is it gonna happen with the new fiscal year, or is it gonna be? imminent?
so the way the way the pricing that they're offering is, we could either do one full year starting on 7/1, the fiscal year. And again, I'm expecting it to come in lower than that 90,000. Or we could choose to do what they call a mid-year policy and purchase at a pro rata rate from now to 6/30 and then renew on 7/1.
That we could do. And this would be counted as an operating expense.
Correct.
Right. For upcoming budget. Okay, so that between now and June 30th, it would be extra expense that's not budgeted for, but, okay. Any other questions? Nice work.
Look how happy you look.
I know, I love when we ask questions and we save the town a lot of money. It's a.
Excellent. Well,
good feeling.
welcome again.
Thank you.
For,
You did a great job in your first.
Exactly.
You do an internal audit?
You know, I don't.
Sorry about that.
That's great.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thanks for the good news.
All right, so the next item on the old business is
You're off the
the
hook.
He's a Smith.
Have a nice evening, everybody.
the next item is the fire department maintenance and repair account audit. I think that was to be addressed.
Yes.
So we'll just defer that one too. The fire department outside jobs policy asked to make sure that we had a consistent policy for the fire department outside jobs fund
that mirrored the police and Mr.
The fire department has prepared a policy and in fact, the Bureau, police. let's see. Verbatim, so what it-
Except fires for,
Yeah, except
police
for-
replaced with fire.
Right.
Okay, so that should close that item out.
You have that policy?
It's in the backup.
Backup?
Yeah, it's in the back.
Yeah, it is on page 209 of the online backup.
But it's here in the hard copy too, Jim.
Yeah. And then the last open item for tonight was I had asked about making sure that the fire department vehicle that was purchased out of that fund and paid for with cash, that it followed the same accounting to make sure there was an entry to revenue and expense accordingly. And
I need to clarify, yeah, so the vehicle was purchased out of the fund with proceeds within the fund. So typically, in the case of the police, the purchase is through capital outlay in the operating budget. In this case, both transactions occur within the fund.
I think that's not consistent
It's
with.
not, and this occurred in 2024, so
Yeah, so.
we can
okay.
still do the transfer, but the net effect on the operating budget
Yeah.
is zero.
It was fiscal year 24.
It was calendar year 20.
Calendar year. All right, so maybe the books are closed, so it's a moot
We can
point.
still, yeah, I mean, it's a net effect of.
That would be a net zero. It just. All right, I'll consider that closed. Can we just take a moment as a group to make sure that I have a comprehensive list of follow-up items that were to be added as I go down the list? For White School, you had originally, Ms. Walsh asked for better understanding of where the timeline for the Dwight timeline that was included in the RFP came from, but I think we answered that in the meeting where it came from this Vigal report, so I don't think that's an open item. I think we have to understand how they got to such a different conclusion. But I don't think that's an open item for this.
You know, we closed
Yeah,
Ms. Vigals.
Yeah.
I think
it is what it is, right? I mean,
it's two vendors that just had a different approach to the same project.
Right. Okay, so the second item in my notes is that the timing for the Dwight outlays needs to be adjusted in the capital waterfall. So that's kind of a ongoing.
As well as the amount, we were gonna check.
Yeah, and the amount.
So it ties back with 76.2.
0.2, okay.
I would just like to, I don't know what head or whether the committee wants to put it together. I still want to know what was the amount of reimbursement we were planning on? So like what the total amount of the project was, what the total amount to be told to us was the state reimbursement that was anticipated compared to what it is now prior to any legislation, just now.
Yeah.
Current legislation.
Current budget.
And if the Board of Ed wants to put that number together, I'm fine with that. If whoever can give us just a one pager, just side by side, simple.
Gross costs.
Gross cost, reimbursement on the night of the vote versus now what we were told tonight.
We can put that together. Okay.
There is a number in the waterfall though, 15.7 million reimbursement in the waterfall.
Point what reimbursement?
7.
15.7.
That was also in this Vigals report. They provided the reimbursement in that.
Netted down to like 60 versus 76.
Yeah, but we'll put it on one piece of paper. We'll make sure it's side by side. So okay, good. The next item that you had requested, Mr. Walsh, was to see if we could get Representative Leeper to join us.
Yes.
On the state of the legislation and how that may impact their reimbursement.
And her likelihood of success from what she's seeing at the State House. And I don't think we'd need her for more than 15 minutes or 10 minutes.
All right, and then next, off of that topic, moving on to the capital plan, you would wanted to see like a stress test to see.
Yeah, I think a stress test would be good, but given that we're right for the budget, I don't think this should be prioritized unless it's something that's readily accessible. I think down the line, next capital workshop, having a stress test, a few slides on it would be informative to us and the public, but definitely not like, we don't need to put this on the next meeting until we're through the
Agree,
budget.
and one comment I have done when we've added things to this list is we'll put expected completion date and it may be 6 months out. And we only talk about the things that are on this, we can add it to the list and just push it out. And then after that.
Well, Mr. Ellinger had wanted some clarification on the discrepancies between the last quarterly.
That's FY 27 bond.
Thank you, yeah.
I found it, but we can.
Yeah, it was the changes, September versus now. Yeah. You want to go over that now?
No, we'll just.
Okay, we'll add it and then we'll. Okay, I think that was it for my notes. Yes, that's all I had, 5 items. Okay. So that closes out old business. Next item 11, to hear and consider and act upon the draft minutes for January 6th, 2026. The backup for this is on page 212 of the backup. To consider this. Amy, thank you. And second from Shane, thank you. We were all there. No one's abandoned anything. Not seeing any, Joe Bent, can I get a vote? All in favor? Great, unanimous, thank you. That takes us to item number 12, communications. Any communications worth discussing? Yes.
I just have a question, because I don't know how this all in terms of procedure, but when the board and other boards get an email from the public or from anyone that it doesn't get addressed, how do we get answers from that? I'm specifically asking about the letter that was addressed to us in reference to Paycom and how it affected the nurses for the union.
Yeah. So I think there's a general response to that and a specific response. Generally, when inquiries come into the board through the website and they come to all of us, if we want to bring it up, now would be the time to bring it up and discuss it. You all have the ability to respond as individuals on this board. We can certainly talk about those things. I know that we did get 2 emails jumped out to me. One is the one that you're talking about that came in on January 19th. There was another one that came in yesterday with respect to the agenda on this particular item. Yesterday's email was very long, detailed, tons and tons of questions. I trust that a lot of what was discussed tonight likely addressed virtually all of her questions and comments. So hopefully she's watching tonight and feels satisfied. But with respect to that email that came in on the 19th of January with respect to Paycom, I believe I did speak to the administration about that. I believe that's an issue that's currently under an issue that's in arbitration. So not something that we should talk about in this forum.
Okay.
But it is being addressed. Yep.
And I would just say, just for public comment, like if somebody came and gave public comment, you wouldn't necessarily have it back and forth. If there's something that comes up through email that you wanted to be on the agenda, I would ask that we would speak about it to see if it was something that would be appropriate to speak out in public and just add it as an agenda item so the appropriate parties could be present, that we could properly notice the public. And just in terms of, visibility for FOI, that having, talking about an email that came up under just communications, I think that we might run into FOI.
Okay. I can tighten that up.
And just in terms of violations for notice and making sure that we have the proper people here.
But I guess any board member can respond individually to an email that comes.
And
Yeah, and in that example, I don't think I would have been able to respond because it wasn't addressed to me and I couldn't have addressed the person's concern other than be empathetic. But I feel like the town needs to respond to things like that because it makes me feel like, well, I'm not doing anything about it. So I feel like I'm gonna, and if it is a, personnel related issue or a legal issue that we can't respond, then let's at least say that.
Yeah, I mean.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So-
And like I said.
That's all I ask.
Yeah, absolutely. I broached the subject. It's being addressed and
Okay.
we'll go from.
I will just say that this is, this is a settled contract that is, and the town is following the contract as negotiated.
Okay.
And there is a process, if there is concerns about that, to go through the grievance process for it to be litigated.
All right, that takes us through the agenda. Motion to adjourn. Jane, second. Dave, okay, thank you all. 9:40.